Complicated case.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindler. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy. Pang Bailey, her husband Scott, and co-worker Ryan Green are suing Pang's former neighbor, Vanessa Sims, for money lost on a car sale and punitive damages.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 410 on the calendar, the matter of Bailey Green versus Sims.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
It's a pretty complicated situation over an old car, but I'm going to try to bring it down to its lowest common denominator. You purchased a car from the defendant.
Yes.
And the purchase price of the car was how much?
$700.
And it is your claim that you made all the payments to the car.
Yes.
And when you did, the defendant gave you the title.
Yes.
Which you have.
Yes.
Now, what kind of a car was it?
A Chevy Metro 2000.
Was it running?
Yes.
And when had you...
Car for like a year. It was in my family already.
What do you mean you had the car already? It was a year, it was in your family?
The car belonged to my sister-in-law. She gave it to me for my son because he had been in an accident.
Just a second. So your sister-in-law gave you the car for your son? Did your son ever drive the car?
Yes.
For how long?
For about 6 months.
And then what happened?
His car got out the shop.
What?
His car, my son's car was in the shop. And that's why we had that car. And that was something for him to get back and forth to work in.
Fine. So then his car came out of the shop, and what happened to
We then had a car for sale. We actually had two.
Just a second. So the car was given to you as a gift?
Basically, yes.
Not basically. It was given to you as a gift. That's what you just told me. Was the title ever transferred from your sister-in-law to either you or your son?
To me.
To you?
Yes.
Okay. And you agreed to sell this car that you got as a gift from your sister-in-law to the defendant for $700?
Correct.
And you gave her the title?
At the end of our so-called agreement.
Fine. Now, who fixed up the car? Who are you?
I'm Scott. Scott Bailey, the husband of Pang Bailey.
You're the husband?
I'm the husband, ma'am.
You fixed up the car?
Yes, ma'am.
When you...
Okay, this is what I did. She thought the engine was bad, Vanessa. She told me the engine is bad because the engine light was on. That's why she sold it for $700. But what the problem with the car was, the alternator belt wasn't spinning, it was broke. So I actually went that same day because the car broke down the same day I bought the car from her. It broke down right in front of her house. She saw the smoke out from my van. My minivan. So I went next door because she had cars. She was selling them. Went next door and said, Vanessa, can I buy one of your cars from you? She said, well, you can, look around. So I saw the Chevy parked, just sitting there. And I asked her, can we buy this one? Can I look at it? Because I like how it looked. Nothing wrong with the inside. No cigarette burners and seats, nothing. The body clean, no dents. So we liked that car. We asked her, was it running? She told me it was running. She said, but the engine might be bad. So you buy this car, you buy it at your own risk. It's up to you if you want it.
Okay. Bird, would you take a look in our Kelly Blue Book for 2000
Chevy Metro.
Chevy Metro, please.
4-door, 2-door.
Four-door.
2250.
Okay. Now, at some point after you got this car up and running, you sold it to this gentleman.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know them?
We work together. Me and her do.
And how did you know that they were selling this car? What?
I offered to buy the car.
Why?
That little car. And she was purchasing a minivan soon after.
Now, I assume you checked the Kelly book,
yes, ma'am.
Whatever, and you agreed the Blue Book value of the car was $2,250 in good shape.
Yes, ma'am.
It was in good shape. He had fixed up whatever problems there were with the engine that caused her to sell this $2,200 car for $700, which she agreed, because I read your answer. Your answer says you agreed to sell it for $700. You paid her $2,000 for it, and you were paying her out in installments.
Yes, ma'am.
She couldn't get the title at some point, and for some reason, you reported the car stolen?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
I reported the car stolen the day after Thanksgiving 2009. I had informed him, his mother, his sister, and whoever else was in the household that day, because he came over to my house a few days before, which was in the same week, We sat and talked, and he said he wanted to get it over with because we were feuding over...
You were feuding over something else?
Dogs. He threatened to kill my dogs, right.
Okay, so you were fighting over dogs. What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a Lacor.
What is that?
Lasha Opsicor, and I have American...
What is that, a big dog? Okay.
And I have American Eskimo.
And what were you feuding over?
We were feuding because...
it's not funny.
Before they moved next door, the owners, the new owners of the house, put up a new fence. And the fence is supposed to be, I guess, a standard level. And so therefore, when the gentleman put the fence up, it was too high. And because my Eskimo was new, a puppy, she kept going up underneath the fence.
So she kept digging under the fence?
No, it was high enough for her to just crawl right up under it, yes. And so...
So your dog was getting into their yard?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Somebody's got to pay for the impound fees, and that's going to have to be you, probably.
Precisely.
We already told
Jim,
him. Yes, ma'am, sorry.
Let me take care of my business, please.
Yes, ma'am.
And later today...
I don't buy these pieces of paper, Mr. Boozman.
It's an unsecured loan at high interest. That's why they did it.
Mr. Boozman, I don't buy it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Pang and Scott Bailey and Pang's co-worker Ryan Green claim Vanessa Sims owes for money from a botched car sale and punitive damages.
Now, that's what the feud was.
They blocked it off with some old, dirty carpet and stuff that was in their garage. Me and my fiance happened to be outside one day. We seen these large rats and what's those things called, possums in the yard. Because the rugs had mildewed and they had all the foam from the carpet out there. It was mildewing and the rats and everything were eating it up. So I went next door, I asked them to remove the stuff. Before I know it, the conversation went from the dogs and what was against the fence to what he wanted me to do as far as the car situation. And then next thing I know, he tells me, he said, you know, about right, I could kill your dog, both of them, because they shouldn't be coming over in my yard anyway.
Got it. So that's what the feud was about?
That's what it started on, yes.
And how much after that did you report the car stolen?
I can tell you it was on November the 23rd or 22nd.
Okay.
It might have been a week or so after.
Okay. Now, that's not the end of the story.
Right.
The end of the story is that you reported the car stolen so that when she tried to register the car, she could not. You never got a clear title to the car, which you had purchased.
Precisely.
And I assume this is the young man who you loaned the car to just to drive it. One day he got pulled over by the police because he was driving in a stolen car.
Exactly.
Got it? And it all boils down to this. If I first make a judgment that the car was paid for, which I do, car was paid for and you had no reason to report the car stolen, so that you own the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to sell it to him.
Yes.
The car is now impounded.
Yes.
You have a counterclaim for the impound fees to get your car back. That's not happening. Just not happening.
I never wanted it back. It came to me. I just wanted my last payment, my registration, and my plate that she refused to give me because I've only dealt with Miss Bailey 5 times.
Fine.
I dealt with Mr. Bailey.
You want your license plates?
I wanted my license plate that I had to go purchase over.
What do you mean that you had to go purchase over?
When I went to his parents' house on Thanksgiving, because he came to me wanting to squash the agreement, he was supposed to pay me everything on Thanksgiving Day. They disappeared. Marie, his mother, told me that they were gone for 2 days.
You can't tell me what they...
Okay, well,
Marie's
anyway,
mother told
2
you.
days, he was gone.
Where are her license plates?
She got the license plate from us as soon as we registered the car. She got it. Even though we paid for the license plate, it was the car was in her name the whole time. We left it in her name because our license was suspended. We bought the car.
Just a second. So you didn't have a license to drive a car?
No, we didn't have a license at the time. Our license suspended. Okay. She knew it. That's why she kept it in her name.
Just a second. So who was driving this car?
My wife. She was driving to work.
All right.
No.
So the car was in her name because you couldn't have the car in your name. Do you have a license now?
And we're working on it.
Yes or no?
We don't, ma'am. We don't have it. No.
Do you have a license now? I want to see the bill of sale to this young man.
We never wrote. I just gave him receipts.
Let me see.
But I do have I don't know if you want to call it a statement from Ms. Sims regarding
that's
the car
agreement that I signed.
Yes.
I went over to
Well,
her
I'll
house.
read a statement from her.
Shh.
Okay, so she agreed to keep the title in her name until December 29th so that you could get a license, so that she could transfer it into either one of your names. Is
Yes.
that what happened?
Yes, it was on or before.
Just a second, I understand.
Okay.
It says until. It doesn't say on or before,
Oh.
but it says until. Whatever. It's not a very, very difficult case. The car is an impound. I will prepare an order for the impound department to release the car to you.
Okay.
You've paid for the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You've paid for the car. You got paid for the car. Somebody's got to pay for the impound fees, and that's going to have to be you probably. And I'm telling you right now, sir, you haven't paid off the car.
No, I haven't.
You still cost you to get the car out of impound. So you don't owe them any more money.
Precisely.
We already told
Dear,
him. You know,
shh.
yes, ma'am, sorry.
Let me take care of my business, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I think that's ridiculous.
I have probably been ridiculous in my history, and I may be wrong. And you may want to prove me wrong.
On that, the account number is
Just
not
listen
on
to
there.
me. That's what it says.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Pang and Scott Bailey and Pang's co-worker Ryan Green claim Vanessa Sims owes for money from a botched car sale and punitive damages.
Now, bought the car for $2,000, you paid $1,700. Impound fees are about $250, $285. That's what you're going to pay to get it out. I will draft an order for impound that you get your car. Okay. Reasonable?
Yes, ma'am.
And you, Ms. Sims, either one of two things happened. Either you got paid $600 on a car or you got paid $700 on a car. Either way, you made that money because you got the car as a gift, right? Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I gave them the car 2 weeks prior,
I don't know what her problem was.
before they even gave me a first payment.
Who would give you a title to a thing?
If they would have stuck to the agreement and did what they had to do and stopped playing games with me,
I think it's other issues.
it would have never came to this.
I think she wanted my husband but couldn't have him, so I don't know.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Boosman versus Mayor. Step forward, please.
25-year-old Kevin Boosman is suing his ex-girlfriend, 23-year-old Alice Mayer, for an unpaid loan to pay her bills.
How old are you, Mr. Boosman?
25,
And in what year did you graduate from college?
2008, December.
Did you go full-time to school?
Yes.
Did you have student loans?
Yes.
How much do you have outstanding in student loans?
About 17,000.
Did you work through college?
In the summers,
Doing what?
1 year was lifeguarding, another year I was packing greeting cards.
So you weren't doing much. You were just making enough for expenses.
Yeah.
Where did you get $5,000 or $6,000 to give Miss Mayer? Don't look over there. Look over here.
I got a loan for $6,500 through Citizens Bank, 500 of which I used to buy myself a new computer, and the $6,000 went to Miss Mayer.
Show me.
The loan?
Just so that I'm satisfied with this, and then you can go back and get me the original papers on this loan with 2 different account numbers. On what date do you claim that the plaintiff made a gift to you in the amount of $6,000? On what date do you claim? No, don't look there. Don't look anywhere else. Close the paper. Both papers. On what date do you claim that the plaintiff made a gift to you in the amount of $6,000?
August 3rd of 2009 for $5,304.
Now, this alleged piece of paper that you gave me, sir, this is a copy of something that you have the original documents
That
of?
is the only piece of paper that I received from the bank.
This actual piece of paper.
That one plus the 2 that I have here.
I'd like to take a look at them. Where were you working, sir, in July of 2009?
In Rochester, New York, as a painter.
I don't buy these pieces of paper, Mr. Boosman. Agreement.
Again, that was the only thing that the bank gave to me.
Is what you're telling me, Mr. Boosman, that the bank accepted an unsigned contract to return paper?
The only signed copy I had was given to them.
Go get me a copy of what the bank has, not this. For several reasons, Mr. Boozman. A, I have serious reservations whether in July of 2009, without any stable form of income, a bank in 2009 is going to give you $6,500 when
It's
nobody
an
was
unsecured
getting
loan at high interest. That's why they did it.
Mr. Boozman, I don't buy it. I may be wrong. I have been wrong in the past. I don't buy it.
I think that's ridiculous.
I have probably been ridiculous in my history, and I may be wrong. And you may want to prove me wrong. Go get an original signed contract with the bank. Signed contract. Not a brand new piece of paper from a year and a half ago, but a brand new signed contract that shows me that a bank gave you that money. And then we'll proceed with the case, and I'll try to figure it out whether it was a loan or a gift. Right now, Mother's not happy with those. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Want justice? Go to JudgeJudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Judges, a recall of case 383 in the matter of Boozman versus Mayor. Parties are reminded you're still under oath.
Thank you. Mr. Boozman, you were not able to get the contract from the bank, is that correct?
No, I was not.
And the contract that you gave me as your whatever copy you had of the contract, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now, this copy of the contract says, allegedly, which I'm not actually accepting, but I am merely explaining to you, Mr. Boozman, why I'm sending you back to Rochester. This alleged copy of the contract says that you took out a loan for $6,500.
That is correct.
That $1,482 was paid to Bank America.
On that, the account number is not on there.
Just listen to me. That's what it says.
I understand that.
That amount given to you directly was $5,018.
I have a bank statement saying that I got
Mr. Boozman, listen to me. I'm telling you what the evidence that you gave me was yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, but I need the contract in order for me to establish to my satisfaction whether the story that you're telling me from the plaintiff's side is accurate. You don't have that. You got a whole mess of other stuff. Now, when you come to my court and you lack a piece of evidence and you come from across the country, you're not going to come back here. So I'm sending you back.
This bank statement right here
Listen
says...
to me, sir. You are in no worse position than you were before you got here, except that you got out of the frigid cold of Rochester for a few days. I'm not satisfied with your evidence. When you get back to Rochester, maybe you can gather up the evidence that might satisfy a judge in small claims court. That's a possibility.
Okay.
So I'm not going to dismiss your case with prejudice. I'm dismissing your case without prejudice. You may go and refile it in Rochester, and you can litigate it where either she is in Buffalo or where you are in Rochester as to whether or not she owes you all, any part of, or nothing. But you'll have the evidence. Is that reasonable?
Yes.
Good. So I wish you both well. Get on your mittens and go home to Buffalo.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, it's a loan.
There was never an agreement to pay him back.
And apparently not having a signed copy.
And he had a lot of anger issues and everything, and I walked away from the relationship, all of that.
I'm glad it's done.
I'm not going to accept help from someone who...
But I will continue to get what is rightfully mine.
...has obvious mental issues.
This is your contract. You are to make payments the 8th of the month.
Many days late and many dollars short.
Did you return the car to her on January 8th,
No.
9th,
No.
10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th? That's why she reported the car stolen.
It got very ugly. She started harassing me every weekend.
It came back in terrible condition. It was disgusting.
Did you have an accident with this car?
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy. Albert Montoya and girl girlfriend Leticia Tamayo are suing former friends Helen Baserto and her daughter Sherry Baca for personal items, DMV fees, and a false police report.
Order. All rise. This is case number 472 on the calendar in the matter of Montoya Tamayo versus Baserto. Has been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Who's speaking for you?
I am.
Okay. Your last name is?
Montoya?
And who's speaking for you?
I am, Judge.
And your last name is?
Baserto?
Okay. Now, you had a truck?
Yes.
You couldn't afford the payments on the truck. So you entered into an agreement with Mr. Montoya.
Yes.
To take over the payments on the truck.
Yes.
And once the truck was paid off, it would be his, right?
Correct.
When did you enter into that agreement, Mr. Montoya?
That was January 28th of 2010.
Correct?
No.
When?
It was in the beginning of January. We signed the contract on January 28th.
That's fine. That's when the agreement was made. That's when a written contract was made. I'd like to see the copy of that contract.
I have a contract right here.
I'd like to see it. Okay, so it's very easy. There are some very good terms in here that you were to pay the bank the 8th of each month, $466.56 for 83 months.
Correct.
When did you make your last payment on the truck?
That was January 31st, 2011.
Had you made each payment?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Late, Your Honor, but he paid, but late. Every month, late.
Okay. Your lawsuit claims that the defendant falsely reported that the car was stolen and you and your girlfriend, who was the co-prospective purchaser of the car, were pulled over with children in the car. You were very embarrassed and you want to be compensated for that.
Yes.
Yes.
When did that happen?
That happened January 31st of 2011.
The payment that you made on January 31st, 2011, was that January's payment or February's payment?
That was January's.
Well, that's not right. That's why she reported the car stolen.
But prior to that, we had an agreement and, you know...
Oh, you had no agreement. This is your agreement.
She,
Unless you
Your
have a modified agreement in writing, then I'll take a look at it.
She had texted, Your Honor, saying that March 1st...
No, listen to me very carefully. This is your contract. Your contract says that you are to make payments the 8th of the month. And if you can't, you are to return the car to her in good condition, the same condition that you got it. Did you return the car to her on January 8th,
No.
9th,
No.
10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th? Why not?
Text message indicating that she wanted the truck back on March 1st.
Well, if you had made all of your payments, and I assume you made them on time?
Yes, they were made every month.
And scheduled
and
online.
scheduled. We even did them online for scheduled payments.
By the 8th of each month?
It was changed for the 15th, and then you get 10-day grace period.
No, no, no. You don't have any grace period. This is the 8th.
But we had set up an online bill pay on Toyota Financial for the 8th. However, we did later on, a few months down the road, change the due date to the 15th with Toyota.
Changed it, Your Honor.
With Toyota Financial.
I changed it.
You changed it to
yes,
the 15th.
ma'am, and I have
She had
proof.
access to our website, to Toyota
She
Financial.
would use Sherry's name. Every time she called Toyota,
No, Your Honor.
she would use my daughter's name.
Just a second.
Illegally.
Just a second. I want to hear it. All I know is at this point, the car was not paid on time. So she had a right to have the car back. Now, what you're telling me is you have a subsequent agreement with her whereby you were going to return it. Now, why were you going to return it?
For one, in November, she had approached me asking if I can get the truck put under my name. And because my credit at the time wasn't so good, I told her no, that was not going to happen. And that is not in the contract to where I, down the road, have to put the truck under my name.
It is not. You are correct.
She then asked if I can have I said, no, that's not going to happen. So from that point on, it got very ugly. She started harassing me every weekend, wanting to see if the truck was clean. She wanted to see if the maintenance was kept up on it. You know, is it clean? Where is it at? How many miles are on it? And cross between that and getting full custody of my children back in April, you know, I had to pay for their schooling. So that put me in a little bit of a hardship.
So you weren't paying the car load on time?
Every month was being paid on time, and then that's when we also agreed to change the date for the 15th. And I also have another...
Listen to me. The 31st of the month is not the 15th of the month.
But I also have, we would run into problems with Toyota Financial where we'd pay, but then we'd go online and see that it was canceled or returned.
I'm not asking you whether it's somebody else's fault. I asked you, Mr. Montoya, when you made your last payment, not when they posted it, when it was a mistake. And you said to me, I made my last payment January 31st. You want me to play back the tape? And you said to me that wasn't for February's payment, but that was for January's payment. Well, this says the 8th. If it was changed by mutual consent to the 15th of the month, you still didn't pay on the 15th. You told me you paid on the 31st. You want to tell me?
At the time, we were having problems with Toyota Financial, so it didn't get processed till the 31st.
No. Okay. And you show me where it came out of your bank on the 15th.
No, it didn't come out of the 15th.
Okay. On the 7th of January, they had taken out $943 because, again, we had problems with Toyota Financial, and it is highlighted with the date.
$943. What was that for?
2 months payment, Your Honor.
It was like
we had problems with Toyota Financial setting up an account. However, we'd go online because they had access to the website.
No. I don't want. Listen to me. Don't want it anymore. Listen to me. Very, very clear. Very clear. I have one other question for you. So you were stopped. You want to get paid for your embarrassment. Is that what this lawsuit is about?
No.
The night that the truck was reported stolen, I was getting ready to leave my parents' house with my kids in my car.
That's what I'm asking. You're asking?
Yeah.
What you're saying is you want to get paid for your embarrassment.
Yeah, till this day.
Okay.
And
Next
DMV
question.
renewals.
And DMV renewals because...
Next question. Put your papers down. Did you have an accident with this car?
Back in February 2nd.
The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
On what date did you have an accident with this car?
February 2nd, 2010.
Was the car damaged?
Yes.
Did you get a check from the insurance company? From the insurance company?
Yes. There was a bit of a mix-up.
How much of a check did you get from the insurance company?
$3,012.43.
Did you fix the car?
Yes.
Let me see where you had the car fixed. Was the car fixed?
No, ma'am. I have estimates here from Toyota and another auto body shop.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's the way it came back. You're telling me that this is after your boss fixed it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, I just asked you. You telling me that this is the way the car looked after your automotive boss fixed it?
And later today.
Who are you? No, don't stand up.
I'm sorry. I'm Mr. Holland's fiance.
Good, you can step out.
Ma'am,
you can step out. Other way.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Albert Montoya and Leticia Tamayo claim former friends Helen Baserto and Sherry Baca owe for a truck deal gone bad. The defendants are countersuing for the value of an insurance check and impound and detail fees.
I had the adjuster come out and write me an estimate.
I'm just asking you where this is from, sir.
That is from my employer.
I don't believe you had the car fixed.
It was fixed.
I don't believe you had the car fixed from them.
Yes, it was fixed, Your Honor.
we have an original check.
Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
This check was generated and issued to us because it was assigned to a different auto body shop, and they were charging us an additional $2,000 for the repairs that we weren't going to put out of our pocket. So this check was issued, and we didn't cash the check. We called the insurance and told them that we were having a hard time trying to find an auto body shop that would fix it for this amount. And
what amount? You have an adjuster. Put it down.
The
Put
adjuster
it down.
came down.
What year car is this?
This is a 2008 Toyota Tundra.
No way. No way. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Can I see pictures of the car when you retrieved it, please?
Yes. This is in its new state before we gave it to him. And this is one side of the bumper is hanging down, Your Honor. It's all lopsided. And it's scratched. It came back in terrible condition, Your Honor. It was disgusting. The condition was just disgusting.
Your Honor,
and it was brand new.
Just a second. You wouldn't have paid the kind of money that you paid for this car if it wasn't in pristine condition.
Thank you.
Baloney.
Your Honor, I have a statement from the ex-husband that she
Listen
tried
to me
sue him
very
for the same
carefully. I don't
thing.
read statements from ex-husbands. I'm looking at the condition that you returned this truck in, which was disgusting. Who smokes?
I used to smoke, Your Honor, but I stopped the minute I got my full custody of the children, which was April 15th. She smokes too, as well.
I never smoked in the car.
She's
I only
a
had
chain
the car a
smoker, Your
day, and
Honor.
I took the pictures.
She's a chain smoker, Your Honor. She smokes every day. She doesn't work. She stays home.
Just a sec. Hey, listen to me. You're not getting a penny. Zero. You didn't pay for the car. You violated the contract. I don't believe this from your employer. This is garbage. I don't believe it. Look at the bumper of that car. That's the way it came back. You telling me that this is after your boss fixed it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm just asking. You telling me that this is the way the car looked after your automotive boss fixed it?
Your Honor, that could have happened when it got towed from the police, from the towing company.
Judgment on the counterclaim for $3,000. The claim is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you so much. When the car was stolen, we called the police.
She made a false police report.
And that's how it was reported. I would have rather have the car repossessed
There's helicopters, 3 cop cars. They came out with their guns drawn.
than to do this.
They put me in handcuffs. Till this day, my kids are traumatized of seeing police officers.
I will never do it again.
March 1st was the day we were supposed to return the truck,
Very dishonest.
and she took matters into her own hands to make a false police report.
They threatened my daughter.
So she didn't have to go that route
They didn't need to do that.
because they have nothing else better to do. I mean, they don't work.
If they want to threaten me, go ahead. You know, I don't care.
Likes to harass people on a daily basis. She's a career criminal.
They were in the wrong, and they knew it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Holland versus Marquez. Step forward, please.
26-year-old Ronnie Holland is suing his ex-girlfriend, Amber Marquez, for a series of unpaid loans and a key replacement fee.
Mr. Holland, it is your claim that the defendant owes you the balance of a loan that you took out on her behalf to pay off some legal fees, some loans that she had, some high credit card bills. And Ms. Marquez does not seem to contest the fact that you did, in fact, take out this loan. Would you stand still, please? I'm getting seasick. Doesn't seem to contest the fact that you did, in fact, take out this loan on her behalf. But she says that your arrangement was that she would pay back half, and half of it was a gift. So,
26.
in what year did you take out this loan?
2009, October 13th.
So you were 24.
24 at the time.
And what kind of work were you doing then?
I work at Intel and construction.
How long had you been there?
A year and a half.
Are you still there?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much money were you making in 2009?
Same as I'm making right now.
Which is what?
$19.44.
You're an hourly worker.
Yes.
And how old are you, Miss Marquez?
25.
So this loan was taken out when you were 23.
Yes.
How much of a loan did Mr. Holland take out?
It was a little over $3,000.
How much is a little over $3,000?
I believe it was 34.
Well, that's more than a little over. That's more than 10% over.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We were trying to start a family together.
You mean to have a baby with him?
No.
What do you mean start a family?
We
What
had
does that
planned
mean?
on getting a house together. We had planned on moving in
The plan
together.
didn't work out. You have to pay him back his money.
We had an agreement, though.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ronnie Holland says ex-girlfriend Amber Marquez owes for loans for tuition, credit card debt, and attorney fees.
Yeah. What was the interest rate on the loan?
I don't know.
32.44.
Who are you? No, don't stand up.
I'm sorry. I'm Mr. Holland's fiance.
Good, you can step out.
Ma'am,
You can step out. Other way.
Sorry, baby.
What was the interest rate on the loan?
Interest rate is... Give me a few seconds, Your Honor.
Okay.
32.25. Yeah, 32.54, sorry.
Can I see that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Here, you want me to open it back up to where it was at? Sorry. Right there. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. How much money did he give you?
I specifically put
That's not what I asked you. I said, how much money did he give you towards your credit cards and your legal bill?
I don't know the exact amount he gave me.
Fine. How much did you give her?
$3,500, ma'am.
Your Honor, that's wrong because...
No, just a second. I asked him, he told me.
But I know they took money off of the specific amount. It wasn't, they had to take taxes off the top part of it. It wasn't directly $3,500.
Ma'am, it says right up there.
Just a second.
Okay.
Don't answer the question.
Okay, I'm sorry, ma'am.
What did you have legal fees for?
I had a lawyer bill that I had from when I went to court with my daughter's father and student loans.
I didn't ask you about student loans.
The money that we had taken out was to pay off the lawyer and to pay off the student loans.
So the student loans were from a custody proceeding with regard to your child's father that had nothing to do with him?
Yes.
How much did you pay him back?
A little under, around $1,300.
How much did she pay you back?
I have checks.
I have all there was checks.
I'd like to see them. $1,300 in checks. You dispute that, sir?
Yes, I do.
Would you show him the checks, please?
Thank you, sir. I've not received any of these besides 3 out of my account with my endorsement on the back of them, showing that they're in my endorse half of these checks.
Okay. Now, you explain to me why you don't owe him the balance of this loan.
We took out this loan together.
Not we.
Okay, this loan was taken out.
He took out the loan and gave you the money.
Yes, Your Honor.
For your student loans and your kid.
Yes.
He took out the loan.
Yes, he took out the loan, and I was under the understanding that we would both pay half of it.
I don't care what your understanding was.
We were trying to start a family together.
Did you start a family?
No.
Why would you want to start a family? You mean to have a baby with him?
No.
What do you mean start a family?
We
What
had
does that
planned
mean?
on getting a house together. We had planned on moving in together.
The plan didn't work out. You have to pay him back his money.
I don't
plan didn't work out.
We had an agreement, though.
No, you didn't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
You just said to me, I was under the understanding, is what you said. Your understanding was incorrect. Pay your own bills. Pay your own student loans. Pay your own lawyer's fees. Who are these people?
My parents.
Or let them help you. They're related to you by blood, I assume.
Yes.
Perfect. He's not. And I assume that your daughter is their grandchild.
Yes.
And I assume that the education, that the student loans that you had to take out were because they didn't have enough money. He has nothing to do with that. We understand each other?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,900. That takes into account the interest. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
There was lack of communication.
We were able to talk until he got with his new fiance.
It was always like that.
And it seemed like then the communication ended.
She didn't care. She didn't think she had to pay it back.
It just basically stopped.
Judge Judy was fair. She knows that the truth.
He did it because he wanted to,
Obviously. So, you know.
I guess, start a new life and needed some more money.
You didn't marry.
She left, ma'am.
It wasn't a storybook romance.
She'd disappear for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. Then she disappeared for a year and a half.
But it took 23 years to end.
You weren't interested in him?
No.
Then why did you have 2 children with him?
I wanted all my children to be by the same man.
Okay. Couldn't you pick somebody that you liked?
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. This is Judge Judy.
Daniel Shannon is suing the mother of his children, Erica Sims, for stealing money from their son and for the return of personal property.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 4 on the calendar in the matter of Shannon versus Sims.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat?
Mr. Shannon, you and the defendant, according to your complaint, have been together on and off for 23 years. According to your complaint, at one point when you moved back into the defendant's house, you bought a washing machine.
Yes.
And then you moved out. You want your washing machine back?
No.
You don't?
No.
What do you want?
The money for the washing machine.
You can't have the money.
What? Okay.
If you want the washing machine back, you can have it. You also, in your complaint, Mr. Shannon, say that your son at some point decided he wanted to live with you, and when he came to live with you, his mother did not relinquish all of his property. You want that property. So what you want, your property and your son's property. Ms. Sims says she has no property that belongs to you in her house. My initial question to you is, why, off and on for 23 years, is there any reason why you didn't marry?
She left. She disappeared for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, all through the 6 years. Then she disappeared for a year and a half. Sent a note in my mailbox, just set it there, wasn't mailed. And it read, you have a son born July 30th. His name is Joshua Sims. Me and my baby sleep alone.
You weren't interested in him?
No.
Then why did you have 2 children with him?
I wanted all my children to be by the same man.
Couldn't you pick somebody that you liked? You think you're going to get one up on me? Huh?
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's very nice to have all children have the same mother and the same father. It feels good and feels family. But I can understand, but to pick somebody that you didn't like was foolish. Now, you want to stand up a second? Because I'm going to take some testimony from you, and then I'm going to excuse you. Stand close to your father.
Okay.
What's your first name?
Joshua.
Joshua. You decided to live with your father.
Yeah.
You had an argument with your mother about some money.
Yes.
Part of what is being sued for here is this money. You want to tell me about the money and the argument with your mother?
Well, my dad here was giving me money to take to school to buy like snacks and like, you know, stuff from the store that I could use at school or something. And I had...
Okay, go ahead.
So I was giving it to her for taking me and my sister to school, and she was using it for stuff that she didn't agree to use it for. She said that car wouldn't move unless it was for taking me and my sisters to school. And she was using it, my money, to go out and do whatever she was doing.
How much, Mr. Shannon, child support were you paying for your 2 children while they were living with Miss Sims?
$160 a month.
For both children?
Yes.
Do you work, Miss Sims?
No, I'm unemployed.
How do you support yourself?
I have AFDC coming in, and I have disability.
What's the nature of your disability?
My back.
What's wrong with your back?
I fell down the steps at my apartment, and I have a disc that's ruptured.
When?
About 2004.
Prior to that, where did you work?
I've been on AFDC.
So how do you collect disability?
I get them both.
I didn't know that you could collect disability actually if you've never worked.
I worked when I was younger.
How much younger?
In my 20s. Just before the kids, 22, 23.
For how long?
Maybe 5 years or so.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Shannon?
I'm right now selling on the internet.
Selling what?
Motorcycle parts, collectible things, some of the things she has at her apartment. Collectible lights, lamps.
Now, did you be?
AFDC.
So you weren't really paying anything directly to the defendant for your children, and you were giving your children some extra money.
Yes.
And your children were giving the money to their mother to cover additional expenses.
No, she was...
That's what he's just told me.
You confused it.
No, I didn't confuse it at all. That's what he said.
She asked to borrow the money for gas to go...
No, that's not what he said, Mr. Shannon. Don't play with me.
Okay.
That's not what your son said. That's made what you put in his head. Your son said he gave her gas money to take he and his sister to school, and he's annoyed that he says she was using the money for other things, but he didn't say he loaned her any money.
No, he didn't.
No. Okay. Is there anything that is in your mother's house that's yours that you want back? Don't look at him.
Okay.
Look at me.
Okay. There's an African spear. There's
An African spear?
Yeah.
Where did you get it from?
I got it from him. He bought it somewhere.
Do you have that at home?
Yes, I do.
Was that a gift to your son?
I don't know where he got it, Your Honor.
Okay, so if you don't know where he got it, you certainly didn't buy it.
No.
He has to get it back.
Okay.
Okay. What else?
There's a light that is worth a lot of money that I like to have back. I don't know the exact name of it. It's like one of those saucer lamps, you know, from like the 40s, I believe, 50s.
Where did you get it from?
Him, he gave it. I asked him for it so I could take it home because it looks neat in my room.
Do you know what light he's talking about?
Yes.
Did you purchase it for him?
No, I did not.
So it was a gift from someone?
Yes.
He gets it back?
Yes, ma'am.
What else?
There's some computer speakers that he gave to me so I could have more bass for my music when I'm playing it.
Do you know what he's talking about?
Yes, I do.
Did you purchase them for him?
No, I did not.
He gets them back?
Yes, ma'am.
What else?
Well, there's also my bike, too.
A dirt bike, a regular bike?
It's a mountain bike.
Mountain bike. Where did you get it?
I got it from him. He gave it to me so I'd have it to ride around the neighborhood.
You know what he's talking about?
Yes, I do.
Did you purchase it for him?
No, I did not.
He gets it back?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else?
No.
That's it?
Yeah.
Great. All those things your mother is going to give back to you.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Within 5 days from today. Have you seen your mother since you went to live with your dad?
No.
Why not?
Because I wanted to live with him, and she had not even tried to get me back or come see me or anything, so I was just...
Fine. So all those things, we'll make arrangements for you to get within 5 days from today.
Okay.
Okay? Now you can go outside, because I don't want you to be here if I have to yell at your parents. Shannon?
Yes, ma'am.
The rest of it's not going to be so easy. Now, what do you want from her?
I got a list here.
Keep going.
Sony recovery discs for $200 for the computer.
Listen to me. She's not giving you any money. Do you want to know why she's not giving you any money? Because she doesn't have any money.
Okay.
She gets AFDC, which is welfare.
Okay.
And she gets disability. Both of those amounts are paid for by me, the taxpayer, and by him, taxpayer. Not by you, because if I had to guess, I would guess that you haven't paid taxes in a very, very long time. That be a fair statement?
Not necessary. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You got away with paying $2.60 a day to support them. You got some nerve coming and taking up court time with this nonsense.
And later today,
The whole reason I had moved into the house is because my friend Michonne was living there, and pretty much the rest of the roommates didn't really like me.
What's wrong with you that nobody liked you?
I think I make people jealous, but...
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daniel Shannon says the mother of his children owes for stealing money from their son and for the return of...
Now, tell me, Mr. Shannon, when was the last time you filed income tax returns?
I think it was in 2007 when I was pumping concrete, and then I went into the antique selling online.
So 2007. And how much did you say you earned in 2007?
The whole 2007 would be...
All of 2000, the whole thing, the whole 12 months.
Probably $8,000 to $10,000, just a guess.
When was the last time you paid any taxes, Mr. Shannon?
I worked as a motorcycle mechanic, freelance motorcycle mechanic.
Freelance? That means you got paid in cash.
Yes, and I paid $4,000 in taxes. I made $12,000.
What year? What year did you pay $4,000 in taxes when you were getting paid in cash?
I'd have to say 2008, I believe.
You just told me you didn't file taxes in 2008. You told me last time you filed income taxes was in 2007.
Well, for a job, I filed $4,000 when I was working on my own in taxes. I made $12,000 in 1 month. I was working for a motorcycle place that was training people for insurance. 40 bikes. They had me tune them up, maintain them, fill them with gas.
What year?
2008.
In 2008? I believe. Did you say that quietly?
I believe, yes.
Let's move on, Mr. Shannon. Do you have any property, Miss Sims, that belongs to Mr. Shannon?
No.
Who does it belong to? The stuff that he thinks is his, who does it belong to?
It's mine.
What did you purchase it with?
I didn't have to purchase anything. He gave them to me as a gift.
Okay, now I'm going to take a look at your list.
Oh. Do you want the receipts for some things?
No, I just want to see your list.
Okay.
How two grown-up people can have a couple of kids and be totally unproductive and not pay taxes or medical insurance or anything else is totally beyond me. 10-carat gold ring with purple stone, a promise ring. Whose is that?
I bought it for her.
Then it's hers.
Okay. She offered it back.
Yeah, well, she's withdrawing the offer.
Okay.
New bed comforter and quilt.
That was mine.
Miller Lite pool table beer light.
That was mine.
Whirlpool washer.
She said she'd pay me back for.
Oh, Mr. Shannon. Mr. Shannon, I'm going to give you a figure. Now, do you actually pay $160 a month to AFDC, or are you in arrears?
I have arrears.
So you don't pay it?
No,
But
ma'am.
let me tell you, when you were paying it, you, sir, 50 cents a day for their support. $2.60 a day. Now,
Ma'am?
you've been, what?
They made me sign the papers when I went down and voluntarily took the test. She left she was living with another guy, told him that it was his kid and killed himself over this.
Just a second. I don't care, actually. All I'm telling you is, sir, that you got away with paying $2.60 a day when you paid it to support them. You got some nerve coming and taking up court time with this nonsense.
Okay.
Now, this you can take and make confetti out of, because quite frankly, Mr. Shannon, I'm not interested. And I want to know, are we finished here? We're finished. Within 5 days, his son gets back his property, and try to make arrangements to see him.
Yes, ma'am.
All right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Excuse, you may step out.
She leaves and comes back, leaves and comes back for 23 years.
He wanted all of his stuff back, and they were all gifts.
2009, she came back, wanted to marry me.
You're not getting them. They're mine.
And then all of a sudden, she leaves.
I don't care anymore.
She doesn't love me, and she never did.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Holloman versus Rezvani, step forward, please.
John Holloman is suing his former tenant, 19-year-old Amir Rezvani, for he moved out.
Mr. Holloman, you own a property that you use for commercial purposes, and you rent that house out, according to you, to college students. Is that right?
That's correct.
You rent people rooms in the house?
Yes.
There came a time when you rented a room to the defendant. He was there for 2 months. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
And you moved in when?
At the end of April, beginning of May.
And the rent was $7.90 a month?
Yes.
And you paid rent for May?
For May.
And you lived there in June?
Yes.
And you paid rent for June?
Yes.
When did you leave?
End of June. I was out by July 1st.
Were you in the premises July 1st?
Like, it's a main street, so I was by the house.
I'm asking you whether you had any property in the house on the 1st of July.
Yes.
What property did you have in the house on the 1st of July?
I left my big screen TV in the room that I had been renting.
What else?
That's it.
Did you ever come back for it?
No.
So you just left it there?
Yes.
You live in the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up. Your name is?
Veronica Chavez.
Mr. Chavez, defendant says he left a TV in his room. Did you see it after he moved out?
He left that along with a lot of garbage and a huge mess.
Where is the TV?
It's currently upstairs in our house.
So you took it?
Yeah.
You took it?
Well.
Now you can sit down.
Continues in a moment.
What did upset me were the other drugs that I heard he used.
You can't tell me about that, sir, because that's hearsay.
I can tell you about it. I saw him dealing drugs in the bedroom. Yeah? Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Holloman claims former tenant Amir Rezvani owes for rent. He also says Amir trashed his room when he moved out.
Why did you leave the TV? Just for my own edification, if it was a working...
I just didn't have a truck, and it's a really big TV. It's like 52 inches, and it's one of the old ones that are like thick. And with the situation at the time, I didn't really want to be in contact with all the roommates because of the bad blood.
Now, you want the following from him, Mr. Holloman. You want rent for a month, the month of July.
That's correct.
When he was not living there because he failed to give you notice.
That's correct.
And you had no written lease with him.
No.
And in addition, you say that he left the room in deplorable condition, and you want damages for the room repairs, the carpet, the trash that had to be hauled out.
Yes.
The defendant says he paid for when he lived there, and what he left was normal wear and tear. So what caused you to leave so quickly?
The whole reason I had moved into the house is because my friend Michonne was living there, and pretty much the rest of the roommates didn't really like me.
That nobody liked you.
I think I make people jealous, but, and so, Michonne, they had kicked Michonne out, and that was the whole reason I had been living there, and they had said that they didn't like me living there. So I wasn't...
Who's they who said they didn't like you living there?
Veronica and the other roommates.
Okay.
And so
But she likes your TV.
Yeah, obviously. And so I
I felt that it wasn't my place to stay there. I wasn't trying to live with
So you just packed up your clothes, whatever you didn't have with you, and left?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you leave the place a mess?
No, I made sure I cleaned. There was some trash in the TV, but it was not a mess.
Okay. Mr. Holloman, in your complaint, sir, you say sometime in May you came to the house to collect his security deposit and you smelled marijuana.
That's correct.
You did not serve him with an eviction notice at that time.
No.
That was a mistake, Mr. Holloman, if you own rental property and you believe, and I'm not saying it was true, but if you believe that drugs are being used by one of your tenants, and if you don't initiate eviction proceedings immediately, then you are doing the wrong thing, and you are placing the other tenants who live there in pay. So I'd like to see pictures of the damage that you claim he did to the room he was renting.
So the top is the rug or the carpet that was there, so you can see that. And then may I make a statement about the marijuana that you brought up a moment ago?
Yes.
Today I deal with enough college students that it is rare to find one that does not use marijuana.
So why did you talk about it in your complaint?
It is not my
if you
business.
say that it doesn't bother you, that's fine. But you wrote about it, which is why I commented on it.
Well, it's
if
because
it upset you, then you should have evicted him.
Well, that didn't upset me. What did upset me were the other drugs that I heard he used.
You can't tell me about that, sir, because that's hearsay.
Well,
what somebody else
I can tell you
told
about it. I saw him dealing drugs in the bedroom. Yeah? Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
You saw him what?
Dealing drugs in the room.
In his room?
Yeah.
Did you convey that to the landlord?
No. I spoke with the defendant about it privately.
But you didn't convey that to the landlord?
No.
Why not?
I talked to the head of the narcotics unit.
You must have told him now, because that's why he brought you. So he knows it now, and you've got 5 girls living upstairs all together. Mr. Holloman would want the defendant out of the property as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, we knew...
Great. Sit down. Perfect. Do you understand, Mr. Holloman?
Yes, I do.
Good. So he's out. You're happy he's out?
Oh, delighted.
Perfect. It all worked out, and he paid for the time he lived there. You left the place messy, sir.
Okay.
Who's supposed to clean up after your garbage?
Someone.
What do you mean, someone?
I should have.
You should have. It wasn't up to him to clean up. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff and the amount of what he paid to get the place cleaned up, which was $237.25. That's all. Step back.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He always had his friends there. They were always doing drugs.
Hearsay.
They were partying every night of the week.
That I was doing drugs.
Which is part of the reason we asked another tenant to move out, because she was also partying.
You know, I think just because they didn't like having a guy around.
That's when he felt uncomfortable to be in the house, but...
The roommates were just very not nice.
That's his decision to leave.
Like both sides of their bed were the wrong side, and they were always waking up.
The condition of the apartment was horrible when we were living there.
An unhealthy and
Floor.
Just a second. You didn't like it? You move out.
or a feeble excuse.
I didn't want to throw them out, so I gave them some time to pay the rent.
They hadn't paid anything.
They didn't pay anything at all.
Then a final house cleaning.
And on what date did you dispose of their stuff?
A week and a half later.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy. Brianna Langston and her boyfriend Joseph Freeman are suing their former roommate, William Higgs, for disposing of their belongings after they moved out.
Order. All rise. It's case number 475 on the calendar in the matter of Langston Freeman versus Higgs.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
What's your last name, sir?
Freeman.
How old are you, Mr. Freeman?
21.
Miss Langston, how old are you?
20.
What do you do for a living, sir?
Go to school.
So you do nothing?
Basically, yes, ma'am.
How do you support yourself?
Hustling every now and then.
What about you?
I'm a student and part-time working as a CNA.
Who do you work for when you work part-time?
Like
nursing home. That's not an answer.
several months ago.
Great. So neither one of you work, except for occasional hustling on the part of Mr. Freeman. I ask that question because it appears to me that the two of you hop around from place to place, from home to home, and this is what your lawsuit is about. You moved in with him for a little while, didn't work out. I mean, when I say for a little while, on a day's notice, you moved out right after Christmas from one place to another. I don't know where you had been living. You had been living together, I assume. And you moved in with the defendant and claim that when you moved out, which you moved out in a hasty fashion, he kept and then disposed of $5,000 worth of your property. So in the back of my mind, I want to know how it comes out that two people accumulated $5,000 worth of property when they have no visible source of income. You get where I'm going. Now, where had you lived prior to moving in with Mr. Higgs?
We had an apartment previous to moving in with...
What happened to that apartment?
We had a roommate. They did not pay their half of the rent 1 month, and we got evicted.
And then you moved in with Mr. Higgs on what date?
December the 28th.
How did you know Mr. Higgs?
We met him at school, 2009. I was attending Georgia Highlands, which is on Southern Poly. He was attending Southern Poly. We became friends there, hung out a lot. When we had our apartment, he came over to hang out. We just kept in touch on and off.
So you moved into his place on the 28th. When did you move out?
January the 6th.
So you were there a few days. And when you moved in, what did you move in with?
Our TV, bed, TV stand, computer, both of his gaming systems, PS3, all of our clothes, documents, birth certificates.
How did you get all that stuff there?
We had friends help us move with a truck.
How do you get to school?
My car.
How do you get to school?
Our car.
You have one car?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car do you have?
A Mazda 6, 2006.
In whose name is the car?
Mine.
What did they leave behind?
Pretty much what they said. Their clothes, the TV, the DVD player. The PS3 doesn't work. He explained when he moved in that it had an error and it did not work. They did have the PS3 though, and he also left his computer there, but it was a really old computer.
I don't care whether he left it there or not. How long did you keep it?
I kept it for about a week. And actually, they moved out on the 9th, actually, because I gave them 4 days after the rent was due to pay the rent, because, you know, I didn't want to throw them out. So I gave them some time to pay the rent.
They hadn't paid anything?
They didn't pay anything.
Where did you go?
Your Honor, first of all, we did not move out on the 9th. We moved out on the 6th. We went to a friend's house because the condition of the apartment was horrible when we were living there.
Just a second. I assumed you looked at the apartment before you moved all your furniture in, your bed and your TV and your stuff. You didn't go over there and look at the place?
Yes, ma'am. The night before, we stayed the night previously before we moved in to see how the living conditions was, but it wasn't trash everywhere, and his cat's litter box was actually clean, and it looked like a nice place to stay, and our room was clean. It was nice. So fine with moving in.
So you mean then it got nasty after you were there for a couple of days?
He doesn't clean up behind himself at all.
Okay. So you moved out on the 6th,
yes,
and you went to stay at a friend's house. When did you go back to get your property?
The 14th, because there was a snowstorm, and we got iced in.
When was the snowstorm?
It actually started the evening that we moved out. It iced over. It was a very big snowstorm all over the news and everything. The roads were icy for over a week. Trucks were jackknifing. Cars were crashing. We did not want to wreck and get hurt, so we stayed at the friend's house until...
And he got rid of your stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
So?
And may I also say something else? Another reason why we wanted to move out, he has a cat. When we were in school, we had a friend that had a litter of cats, and we were both given a cat. They were actually brothers. He was given a cat, and we were given a cat. We're very big animal lovers. And another reason why we didn't want to live there, he was on drugs, taking Oxycontin, taking acid, and he would beat his cat.
I don't care. Well, listen, you moved in, you moved out. You didn't pay any rent. He has no obligation to safeguard your property. You come back 10 days later for your property, and he says to you, I got rid of it. I'm not sure he got rid of everything, because based upon the tents that you used, sir, I have a feeling that some of the stuff is still at your house.
I threw everything out, Your Honor.
Are you still living there?
Yes, ma'am.
You threw out a DVD player?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Because it's theirs. I don't want it in my house.
No,
I don't want them.
No, Mr. Higgs, that I don't believe. Where was the bed?
The bed was in their room. Everything on the day that they moved out, which I still say is the 9th, I moved everything down into the living room. And
why?
Because, I mean, I just paid $605 for the rent, Your Honor, and I was broke. I was waiting for their money. They never gave it to me. I didn't have any money.
My question, Mr. Higgs, is, you know, I want you to say something that makes sense to me. Why would you move the bed downstairs to the living room?
Because I didn't want them going anywhere else in the house, because it's my house. So when they came by, all they'd have to do was just pick up their stuff and leave.
Well, did you call them and tell them that they... Put your hand down. Did you call them and tell them that they had to pick up their stuff?
On the 9th, when they didn't pay their rent, I called Brianna. She did not pick up. Then I texted her saying that she had to get her stuff and get out, yelling at me. She was saying something about her entire family being in the hospital and she couldn't pay rent. They were just both yelling at me, and I just told them, you have a week to come get your stuff.
And on what date did you tell them they had a week to come get their stuff?
The 9th, Your Honor.
On the 9th. And on what date did you dispose of their stuff?
A week and a half later.
On what date?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Week and a half from the 9th, 9th, 7th, so 16th. They had a couple of days, so maybe the 20th of January.
I would guess, yes, ma'am.
On what date did they come over for their stuff?
They didn't come over. They actually called a couple of days later asking about it, and I just told them I threw it away.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's not what you told me. You told the police one story, you told me something else.
She just means in the premises, ma'am.
No, that's not what this says at all. I can read.
And later today,
I want you to learn the following words. You're a guy, and I know it's hard. I don't know.
I don't know.
See how easy that was?
Right.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brianna Langston and boyfriend Joseph Freeman claim former roommate William Higgs threw out their belongings after they moved out. William says he gave them a week to pick up the items.
Okay. You have any proof of the date that you went over to his house? The date of the police report is?
The date of the police report is, it says it occurred on the 14th, and
no.
statement.
No. I want to know when you reported.
The 19th, ma'am.
The 19th?
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
I'd like to see it. Well, she actually contacted the police on the 18th. Langston stated that she and her boyfriend Friedman had left town and gotten stuck out of town due to an ice storm. She stated they were gone for a week. That's not what you just told me.
Town, as in I was not in the same
that's not
area.
what you told me. You told the police one story, you told me something else. You told me that you left because you couldn't stand to be there because he didn't clean up after his cat and the place was a mess, so you went to stay with a friend.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's not what this says. This says you and your boyfriend went out of town and you got stuck out of town due to an ice storm.
She just means in the premises, ma'am.
She what?
She means in the we were not in premises. We didn't actually go out. We were still
No,
in the
that's
state
not
of
what this
Georgia.
says at all. I can read. And you spoke to the police, sir, and you told the police that you were moving out of the apartment, you were moving back with your father?
Yes, that was the original plan, but my parents just ended up loaning me the money to keep the apartment because they didn't want me moving back with them.
Nah. Take all of their belongings to his father's house, so he left them by the dumpster. No, you probably had $1,000 worth of stuff there. And I don't think Mr. Hicks had the right to dispose of that property, which he did. You don't have any receipts for any of this property, do you?
I had everything.
I'm asking you a question. Do you have any receipts for any of this property?
No, ma'am, he trashed
Judgment for
them.
the plaintiff for the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Please excuse me. Step out.
They'd been intimidating me.
His attitude and the way he is made us not want to be there.
They had parties there all over the place.
It was his friends being there, too, most of the time, just hanging out.
After the rent was due and they didn't pay it, I mean, that was just the final straw.
When you get off work, there's nothing else to do but just chill and get high, so that's what he does.
He beat his cat, took drugs. We didn't want to live in that situation.
He started off as my friend because nobody else wanted to be a friend with him.
I was going to give him a chance. I was going to give him one chance. If they screwed it up, they screwed it up.
Don't trust anybody but who you're with.
Don't trust people so readily anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Russo versus Hefner. Step forward, please.
21-year-old Christina Russo and her father, Richard, are suing Christina's schoolmate, Jonathan Hefner, for damaging her car in a drunken stupor.
Mr. Hefner, who is this young lady?
This is Rose, my girlfriend.
And how long has Rose been your girlfriend?
A little over half a year now. Only a couple of months, I guess.
Do you remember where you were on October 9th?
Yes, I do.
Why don't you tell me where you were the morning of October 9th?
Hofstra University, Long Island. Probably going through a normal day.
Which consisted of?
Um,
Don't guess. I want you to learn the following words. You're a guy, and I know it's hard. I don't know.
I don't know.
Perfect. See how easy that was?
Right.
So you don't know where you were the entire day, but you did go to a party that evening.
Yes, I did.
What time did you arrive at the party?
I don't know.
Perfect. This is going to be terrible. Was the lovely Rose with you at the party?
She was.
What time did you get to the party, Rose?
I don't know.
Where was the party?
Bedford Street. I'm not sure the exact address.
Was it in someone's home?
Yeah, friend's home.
Friend's name?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. It was a friend of a friend.
So you don't know the person who was the host of the party?
Right.
You were invited to come there by someone else?
Right.
In what year are you at Hofstra University?
I'm a junior.
What do you hope to be when you grow up?
Statistician, maybe, an accountant.
They believe it, right?
Right.
Precise. Because you don't want to send in, well, you know, I think you owe the IRS maybe $100,000. Could be $125,000. Maybe you only owe them $50,000. You know, you got to be exact.
Right.
How many other people were at the party within 10?
I'll say 40.
How did you and the lovely Rose get to the party?
We walked.
You live in the dorm at Hofstra?
Yes.
And Rose?
Yes.
Now, when you walked to the party, was it dark or was it light out?
There's still light out by the time.
So it was maybe 7 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And what time did you leave the party?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Was it dark when you left?
It was dark, yes.
From the party, did you go anywhere else?
No. We were going right back to the dorm.
How drunk were you when you left the party?
I was intoxicated and feeling a little sick, so...
Drunk and sick?
Yeah, that's why we left.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know, when I went to college, we had a 9-story dorm. Boys couldn't get past the courtyard. They had somebody there in a stiff collar. You didn't get through the front door.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina Russo claims schoolmate Jonathan Hefner vandalized her car.
You were drunk and sick. I assume you don't know how much the lovely Rose had to drink.
Less than me, I think, Your Honor.
Less than you think.
I'm almost positive, Your Honor.
Now, did you spend the evening at Miss Rose's house, or did she spend the evening at your house?
We were going back to her dorm.
So you spent the evening at her dorm?
Yes.
And did you wake up in her dorm in the morning?
Yes, I did.
You know, when I went to college, we had a 9-story dorm, and there was a little courtyard in front. Boys couldn't get past the courtyard.
Right.
The courtyard. They had somebody there in a stiff collar. You didn't get through the front door. You didn't have to worry about there was a boy in the bathroom in the shower, or there's a girl in the bathroom in the shower. You knew all girls until you were a senior. Then they got to wait in the lobby. Now, from the party, you had to walk home to the lovely Miss Rose's dorm through the parking lot.
Right.
Which is where Miss Russo's car was, along with a whole bunch of other cars that had their mirrors knocked off.
Right.
And Miss Russo says she wants you to fix her mirror. She says you knocked her mirror off. Miss Russo, you weren't there that evening, the evening of the 9th.
No, I was not.
What proof do you have?
Well, in the morning, I went and I found this note from Public Safety on my car. So after reading the note, I looked over and I saw that my mirror had been knocked off. It was hanging by the wire. There was a few scratches on my door.
Okay, so your car was damaged. There's no question about that. Mr. Hefner actually doesn't remember what happened that night. He was feeling pretty drunk and pretty sick. And if I asked him, he would say, I would never do anything like that. So now we know that your mirror was knocked off of your car. Mr. Hefner was in the general vicinity because this was the Hofstra parking lot, I assume, correct? Yes. Now we need proof that it was Mr. Hefner who did it.
Well, I called Public Safety after seeing the note, and they gave me a public safety report. And on the public safety report, it said that Jonathan...
Don't tell me what the report said. The report's hearsay.
It says in print, though, and I called Public Safety, and they were going to call...
I need proof.
Would you like to see the report?
It was Mr. Hefner who knocked the mirror off your car.
It says
somebody
his name.
Who saw him?
It says right here there's a specific public safety officer who had witnessed it.
I would like that officer. Don't show me a report.
The Hofstra campus said that they did not want to get involved with
And I
this.
can't help you, Miss Russo.
They said that right
Ms.
here,
Russo.
if you would like to contact Hofstra.
So if I need something clarified, I very often will go in the back to clarify a piece of information. But the burden is upon you in a court to demonstrate that the defendant did the act that you are alleging that he did. And you cannot prove that through a report. You can do that through a witness.
There's a witness in the report.
Do you go to school?
Yes, I do, actually.
You go to Hofstra?
Yes.
You're not planning on going into the law?
No.
Hearsay evidence is inadmissible in a court to prove the fact at issue. Now, there are some exceptions to the hearsay rule. For instance, a dying declaration. Somebody gets stabbed and they're lying on the floor and their bodily fluids are pouring out onto the street and they say, "Johnny Jones stabbed me." The law says most people would want the real perpetrator to be arrested. That's called the dying declaration. So even though it's an out-of-court statement, they admit it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, that report is inadmissible in a court to prove that he examined that witness. I can't say to that witness, what were the lighting conditions? Where were you standing? Were there other people with? Listen to me. It's a report. I can't do that. Do you understand? And if you came here from New York, unfortunately, which is I know where Hofstra is, because somebody gave you misinformation and said that you could prove this fact with the report, I apologize to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm dismissing your case without prejudice so that you can go and refile against Mr. Hefner in small claims court in Nassau County?
Correct.
In Nassau County, New York, because the information that you were given was inaccurate, that you could prove that fact based on a report. Do you understand?
I understand.
Thank you very much. Try to remember where you were and what you were doing on the 9th. You got it, Mr. Hefner?
Mm-hmm.
You and the lovely Rose, have a good trip.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
What is your excuse? You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
It really wasn't my fault, and I did not do it.
The mirror was completely knocked off. There were scratches on the door.
I was a perfect scapegoat to pin all these vandalism charges that have been happening over the semester on.
He was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
In a drunken stupor, you don't remember anything.
He was intoxicated.
That night and the next morning, we'd been talking about it, and there was a lot of things that had been put on me that were not even relevant to the case that had happened.
I just think that he shouldn't be held responsible for something they can't prove he did.
Just hope that someone doesn't go running through parking lots knocking off mirrors.
I feel like she needs to go through her insurance to file a report to get her money, not through me.
You said you want to borrow my bike and...
If you break it, you bought it.
A loaned motorcycle came with conditions.
Is that what he said to you? If you break it, you bought it?
Yes.
Sounds reasonable.
But after a crash...
Did you break it?
I did not.
He rolled over on his friend.
It wasn't like totally broken though. It just kind of like had scratches on it.
The bike was broken while it was in your custody, right?
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy. Jeremy Brickner is suing former friend Brandon Anikas and his friend Dadney Doria for the value of a motorcycle that was wrecked and sold at auction.
Order. All rise. That's case number 317 on the calendar in the matter of Brickner versus Anikas Doria.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Explain it to me.
Yes, ma'am. No problem. Last November 2009, I became closely acquainted with my witness, Sofon May, and the defendant, Brandon Anikas, through a wrestling program in Sacramento. I was assigned to be their mentor to help guide them and
I know what a mentor is.
Okay. So I was working with both these gentlemen. After
you were working as a mentor, you got arrested and you were incarcerated. Is that my understanding?
Yes, that was later in 2010.
Later. Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
What were you arrested for?
It was a federal charge.
Is it pending?
It's resolved, but my attorneys advised me not to discuss it with anybody, even at this point.
It's resolved.
It is resolved, yes, but the feds still have oversight, and it's resolved. But who's to say that the federal government won't come for more?
Keep going.
So these gentlemen were both working with me. Came to my attention that Brandon needed some...
Raise your hand, Brandon. That would be you.
That he needed a vehicle to get back and forth to the matches, to the meetings, to school, to work, and whatnot. So I have 4 motorcycles and my own personal vehicle. I did not mind loaning him a motorcycle, insured, registered, paid off in my name. And so it was...
What did you do, Mr. Brickner?
I was bounty hunter and wrestling official.
Keep going.
So when I loaned Brandon the bike, it was with the understanding that the term is...
Don't tell me understanding.
The
There's
term
no
is...
understanding.
You don't, but you bought it.
That you loaned him your bike.
Yes.
All I want to know is what discussion there was, not an understanding, what discussion there was, and I have to make certain judgments based on that discussion. You said you want to borrow my bike and...
if you break it, you bought it. You dump it, you bought it. Any damage, you're responsible for it. And he was compliant.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Is that what he said to you? If you break it, you bought it?
Yes.
It sounds reasonable. Sounds reasonable. If you break it, you bought it. Okay. So now we have a contract. You borrowed the bike with the understanding that if anything happened to the bike would become your bike.
It wasn't a signed contract. It wasn't written.
It doesn't have to be a signed contract, sir. He loaned you the bike, and what he said is actually something that I believe. I'm going to loan you the bike, but you break it, you bought it. That's what you agreed to. Now, did you break it?
I did not, Judge Judy. He did.
Who did?
Dadney.
Was it broken while you were borrowing it?
Yes, it was.
Then you bought it. That was your contract with him.
Okay.
You're borrowing it. You're in your possession and control. So now you own it. Now you want to tell me the sad story of how you bought the bike.
Yes. We were at a barbecue in March.
Who's we?
Dadney and I were at a barbecue in March. And I don't remember if he asked for the keys or not.
I asked him for the keys, if I could ride the bike. I was actually in the market to purchase a bike. So he let me ride it. He was telling me a little bit about the bike. It's not like a really ultra fast street bike or anything like that. It was kind of like a ranky-janky kind of dirt bike. So I just took it around the block a few times, and I actually was there's really little reflectors.
Leave out the like.
Okay.
It's really annoying.
There was reflectors on the street, and I was approaching the reflectors, so I tried to slow down. And when I slowed down, the front tire kind of started wobbling. And I'm pretty experienced with bikes. You have to hit the accelerator to gain control of the bike. I accidentally hit the front brake, turned the bike. The bike wasn't even really damaged. The only reason why it was towed away was because neither of us are the registered owners of the bike. So that's why.
Had we been able to contact Jeremy if he wasn't in jail?
Just a second. The bike was broken while it was in your custody, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
It wasn't totally broken though. It just kind of had scratches on it.
He doesn't have his bike anymore.
If we were able to get it out, I would have been able to pay for the damages.
This is your defense, just so we get over the defense. Your defense is because he was incarcerated, he could not go and pick up the bike from the impound, and therefore the bike was lost. That's your defense.
Yes.
What?
He knew the bike was...
Don't tell me what he knew.
Okay.
I never go into what's in somebody else's mind, and neither can you. Now, did you know where Mr. Brickner was being held while he was in jail?
Yes, I did.
Did you go to visit him?
I didn't have an idea.
No, just a second.
No, I didn't go to visit him. I did send information along with
now, this was a dirt bike, sir?
It's a super motard, so it is street legal. It is designed like a dirt bike, but it is actually a street bike.
And from whom did you purchase it?
I purchased it from a private party, December 2006, that I purchased the bike.
And how much did you pay for it in 2006?
$4,800.
And you registered it?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was covered by insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
It had liability or liability and collision?
It's the basic coverage. To get full coverage was in excess of $400 a bike, so I had just the minimal coverage.
Which means?
Liability.
Liability. Well,
yes,
that's what I said.
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you just say yes? It saves me time. I do have other things to do today.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay. So you bought it 4 years ago. And what year bike was it?
2006.
So the person that you bought it from sold it practically brand new. Which was that bike new in 2006?
They hover around $6,900 new.
So you bought it used.
Yes.
And you bought a $6,900 bike for $4,800.
Yes.
And you had it for 4 years.
Well, it hasn't been here for the last year because it was wrecked in February of this year. So I bought it at the end of 2006, so 7, 8, 9, about 3 years.
Had it for
Yes, ma'am.
3 years.
3 years.
And in less than a year that you bought it from the private party, it went down in value $2,000 from $6,900 to the $4,800 you paid for it.
Yes, ma'am.
So how are you asking $4,300 for it now, which is 3.5 years later?
Blue Book value. I do have the Blue Book values. Would you like copies of this, ma'am?
No.
Okay. The 2006 motorcycle
No,
now.
I don't want it.
Okay.
I just don't understand, sir, how you paid $2,000 less in less than a year. 3.5 years later, you want $500 less for your bike.
Correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There was plenty that you could do. All you had to do was get a hold of the title.
Well, the officer told me there was nothing I can do.
That's baloney.
Had I known that, I would have done it.
Well, then you're an idiot.
And later today,
Where's your mother's car?
She has it.
Who has the title?
I do.
She wants the title back. Sign it over to her. Do that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeremy Brickner says Brandon Anikas and Dadney Doria are responsible for his motorcycle being sold at auction.
Now, when were you advised, Mr. Brickner, that the bike was an impound?
When I spoke to my brother on the phone, he says, I got an impound notice. I sent it to you, and I got it the next day.
Do you have a copy of that?
Of the impound notice?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
This is what I received from the tow company. They send a DMV form.
I just want to know what you received in the mail. Would you not give me all that stuff? Just show me what you received in the mail.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's what I have now. It was a DMV form. I do not have that anymore. It's a lien sale notice that they send you in the mail saying the motorcycle's been put up for a lien sale.
So, March 16th is when it came in, and you were advised that sometime in April, and at that time, the storage fees were $1,872.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
So what did you do when you found out that the storage fees were $1,872?
When I was able to contact the tow company, the fees were just over $1,500.
What did you do when you got this notice?
I sent both Sofan May, my witness, and I sent Brandon Anikas, both of them, a letter indicating that it needed to be resolved. And I also had a discussion with my brother, indicating to him that if they need his assistance in getting out of impound, that's fine, but they were to pay the bill, the two defendants.
Just a second. Did you speak to him?
I sent him a letter.
That takes a long time.
A couple of days. I had no other option. You know, my witness came down and actually spoke with me, and he
While you were incarcerated?
Yes.
Where was the title to the bike?
The title was at home at my house, and it was accessible.
Well, did you have your brother go and get it and take it to the impound?
No, I still have the title now. The impound fees were in excess of $1,500. It was, I told my brother that yes, you have permission to go get it. The defendant is to pay the bill.
Well, just a minute. Your brother can't get permission. They're not going to give it to him because you gave him permission.
A family member can pick up a vehicle out of
if they have
impound.
the title.
Yes, and the title was available.
Fine. So why didn't your brother go and get out the bike and then sue him for the impound fees, which were $1,800, instead of letting the bike go for sale and then trying to sue him for $43,000?
I was told that the bike was damaged severely, and I can't speak why my brother did not do that.
Just a second. Who told you that the bike was damaged severely? The impound?
No, he had a discussion with Brandon Anikas. That's my witness is here to discuss that. I mean, I brought him forth to discuss this, and his discussion.
You get the impound fee, sir. If you let the bike go in sale, that's your problem. He has to pay the impound fees, all of them, which is probably what the bike is close to being worth. What?
I mean, if he was able to give us...
Sit down!
Okay.
You borrowed the bike? It's a legitimate excuse that you couldn't get it out. That's legitimate. You're not a family member, and you couldn't get it out. My question to you is, did you try? Look at me.
Yes, I did try.
Tell me what you did to try to get it out of impound.
Well, I spoke to the police officer that was impounding it and see what I could do. And he told
What do you
me
mean
there
you
was nothing I
spoke to
could
a
do.
police officer? Did you go to the impound?
No, because he told me there was nothing I could do.
No, there was plenty that you could do. All you had to do was get a hold of the title.
Well, the officer told me there was nothing I can do.
No, it's baloney. First of all, it's hearsay. Second of all, it's baloney. They were taking it to impound because you weren't the titled owner of the bike. But all you had to do was get a hold of the title and go get it out and pay some money.
Had I known that, I would have done it.
Well, then you're an idiot. Then you're an idiot. Then I'm coming back to your original. Then I'm coming back to your original contract with him. I mean, then you shouldn't be driving around in somebody else's property. You break it, you bought it. And if you said to me, I went down to the lot where they were holding the bike, and I was more than willing to pay them whatever it was, $1,500 or $1,000 to get the bike out, but I couldn't do it because I didn't have the title. And then I went to the jail to try to see him, and I couldn't get to see him because I wanted to find out how to get the title, because with the title you can go and get it out, because that means that you have some authority over the bike. You didn't do any of that stuff. He wrecked it. Wasn't yours. You hadn't paid for it. You had no interest in it. So they took it away, and you said, well, he's in jail. I'll let somebody know he can go and get it if he wants to get it, and I wash my hands of it. What?
I was more than willing to pay for it. If the officer had given me better information, I would have gone to the...
That's not my problem. That's your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Had there been a bedroom set in there before this bedroom set was purchased? What was in there before? Your daughter had lived there her whole life.
Just a mattress.
That's not very warm and fuzzy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeremy Brickness says Brandon Anikas and Dadney Doria are responsible for his motorcycle being sold at auction.
Saying to you, I'm taking it to impound. There's nothing you can do.
He didn't tell me there's nothing you could do, but he told me my hands were tied.
No way. Your hands were tied. Were your hands tied?
Figuratively, yes.
Yeah. How? How were your hands tied? You knew where he was. You knew where the title was, right?
Yeah, right.
All you had to do was make an effort. And if you're not grown up enough to take care of somebody else's property, you shouldn't borrow it. And you had not used good judgment in letting somebody else long-term borrow a vehicle from you.
You're correct. Hindsight.
In any event, I think you're overreaching a little bit. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, the problem was that neither defendant wanted to pay.
Well, I don't think we should have to pay.
You know, they're pointing the fingers at each other. Well, he has a contract.
Because it was the cop's fault. He told me there was nothing I could do.
I didn't have a contract with him, so they're both pointing the fingers at each other. Neither one wants to pay a dime.
Well, I figured he was a credible and reliable source, so...
Well, friends are friends, but, you know, a motorcycle and loaning a vehicle out is another story.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Rudolph versus Tabuena, step forward, please.
Joan Rudolph is suing her daughter, 26-year-old Jacqueline Tabuena, for the return of a Mitsubishi Eclipse and for stealing her furniture and golden retriever.
Miss Rudolph, this is your daughter?
Yes.
What's your first name?
Jack.
For living?
I work security.
For whom?
Anderson Security.
And how long have you worked for them?
About 6 months.
Prior to that, what were you doing?
I worked in sales, car sales.
Did you work continuously?
I was out of work probably for 3 weeks.
Okay. Now, where's your mother's car?
She has it.
Who has the title?
I do.
Why?
Well, I wasn't working. I was having a really hard time finding a job, and her car is paid off. She's had it for a lot longer. So she just felt that, you know, possibly if things were to get worse, that, you know, it would just be best in my name and in case, like, anything ever happened.
She wants the title back. Sign it over to her. Now.
Okay, I only have a copy of the title.
Sign it.
I can sign the copy of the title?
Yes.
Okay.
I will also, Miss Rudolph, sign something for motor vehicles indicating that they are to issue a new title in your name.
Okay.
Wasn't that easy? Why did you need me to do that?
Well, because we have some other issues that kind of evolved around that with me moving set, which I paid her back for. I have the...
I'm just talking about the car.
Okay.
Why did you need me to do that?
Well, at that time when she was asking for it back, I mean, I know you don't want me to talk about it, but with the bedroom set, she says that I owe her money, and I said I don't. I have the car title. You know, if you say that I owe you money, which I don't, then as far as the car title goes, then I think I should have it.
You moved in with your mother at some point, and then you moved out.
I've always lived with my mom.
Have you always maintained that as your primary residence on all of your tax returns and all of your official documents?
Yes.
Miss Rudolph, where do you claim your daughter had lived prior to moving in with you?
With her dad.
And how long had she lived with her father?
2 months.
Now, when you moved out to live with your father, did you take this bedroom set in question? The answer is either yes or no.
No.
During the 2 months, stop moving your feet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
During the 2 months that you lived with your father, at any time did you come back for your bedroom set?
No.
When was the bedroom set purchased?
I would say sometime in possibly like 06, maybe early 07.
Now, at that time, your daughter was living with you?
Correct.
Now, at the time that this bedroom set was purchased, it was purchased for the room she was using in your home?
Yes.
Had there been a bedroom set in there before this bedroom set was purchased? What was in there before? Your daughter had lived there her whole life. What was in there before?
Just a mattress.
That's not very warm and fuzzy for somebody who lives in a bedroom for a long time. Have you lived in that house for a long time?
Yes.
You mean your daughter never had a dresser in her room?
She did. There was a guest room, and that's where she would go back and forth because she'd complain about noise.
What noise?
Noise on the street, or else the TV was on, or the dogs were barking and she couldn't sleep.
In her room?
Yes. Well, she had 2 rooms. She took over the den, and then she took over the second bedroom.
When she took over the second bedroom, what furniture was in there?
There was a complete bedroom set in there.
What happened to that bedroom set?
I sold it.
And this bedroom set came in instead?
No. This was after she purchased the new bedroom set, so she says.
So after she purchased the new bedroom set, the old bedroom set was sold?
Yes.
Who kept the money?
Yes, I do.
You can keep it.
Okay.
So now your mother has the title to her car back, and you have your bedroom set. What else do you need from me?
I have nothing.
Are we finished with our business here?
I believe so, yes.
Great. Thank you very much. Go and be happy.
Please excuse, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She has lived the life of glamour.
I don't know what's bothering her.
She's had hair extensions. She had a job.
I mean, she was there when I was kicked out for...
She had Restylane.
Not getting a loaf of bread.
She had all these procedures done.
So I don't really know.
I worked 3 jobs to help pay for it.
I thought mothers should care more about...
As far as the bedroom set, it's not over.
The relationship than material items.
Agreement was I would loan him 2 dogs.
I never heard of loaning a dog. Never.
Is it over her love of animals?
They're about 5 years old now.
So what are you doing here now, 5 years later?
I know why she's here today.
Or a spat with the family?
She tried to sue my parents, her parents, less than a year ago. I sent her a message saying LOL when she lost the case. She was very upset about it.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy.
Dog breeder Lisa Jepson is suing her brother, Mark Albert, for the cost of 2 Miki dogs she allowed him to temporarily keep. Lisa says Mark refuses to return the animals.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 133 on the calendar in the matter of Jepson versus Albert.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
That's a cute little dog, Miss Jepson. What do you call that?
It's called a Miki.
A Miki?
Yes.
Well, that is a mix of 2 different dogs?
Actually, 3.
3. What is the mix?
Japanese Chin, Papillon, and Maltese.
Interesting. Your lawsuit claims that your brother and you entered into some sort of convoluted dog arrangement that he breached, and you want him to pay you a whole bunch of money because you didn't get to breed the dogs that he had in his possession. Your brother says that the dogs were a gift to him, and while he does mention something about breeding rights, he seems to indicate the physical condition. So you want to try to explain to me what this convoluted story is with regard to your brother and 2 of the dogs, which I assume are dogs similar to this one.
Correct. I've gone into verbal contracts with other family members.
I don't care about your other verbal contracts with other family members, Miss Jepson. I only care about the one with your brother who's going to stand up on his own 2 feet and put his hands off the table.
The agreement was that I would loan him 2 dogs, and when the dogs came into season, I would be allowed to take them back to my house to mate them. They would go back to him for approximately 50 days. Then they would come back to me for another 8 to 10 weeks to give birth and for me to raise the puppies.
Well, why would you loan him the dogs, Miss Jepson? I mean, I have read breeders' agreements in the past, and when I've purchased dogs, I've agreed to give a breeder pick of litter or allowed for one mating of a dog, but I never heard of loaning a dog. Never.
What it is...
So you're going to have to convince me on that one, Miss Jepson.
Okay. These were dogs I wanted to keep because of their lineage. Their father was a dog that had multi-championships. So by keeping...
They may have multi-championships, but this combination is not a recognized... Well, I never heard of American Rare Breed Association. That's probably a newfound association for people who mix up breeds because they create designer dogs. It's certainly not the American Kennel Club, which is the only one that's recognized in this country. The rare breed dogs are not rare breeds. They're mixes.
You have to be a rare breed before you can be AKC.
They're mixes. The Rare Breed Club has to be, I've never heard of it, but it has to be designer dogs, golden doodles, cockapoos, whatever other combinations they put together to make, you know, they want long hair with white, they want short hair with multicolors, whatever. So they put these dogs together, and sometimes you get something real cute that's like this, but this is not a purebred dog.
It is a purebred dog. I have an article from a publication that shows that they are a purebred dog.
You have an article from the American Kennel Club?
No, American Mickey Registry Association.
Listen to me. They're all mixed breeds. They're designer mixed breeds. People have chosen certain dogs that they put together, and they say, this is going to be a great dog. Maybe 100 years from now, this kind of dog, when you start breeding them together, will be a recognized breed. I'm sure that that's happened historically.
Correct.
And a mix of 3 dogs, we used to call, when I was a kid, a mutt. This is a designer mutt, but it's a mutt. That's what it is. That's what happens when you... Am I wrong? What? Adorable. Absolutely adorable. But that's what we used to call, you know, your dog got into my yard and, you know, whatever, and then you got a mutt. You just put them together to make them something that are adorable, and then you all get together and say, mine is prettier than yours. That's very cute. Is that your dog? Very sweet. How old?
About 6 months.
Very sweet. And how long have you been breeding those dogs?
10 years. My oldest one is 10 years old.
Okay. So you wanted to keep the parents because of their lineage. So why didn't you keep them instead of loaning them to your brother?
My brother was in the market for his own pets.
And?
So that's when I suggested me loaning him the dogs on the basis that I could breed them.
Okay, Mr. Rappert. I'm ready to hear it now.
Well, I wasn't in the market for dogs. She had too many dogs. And I lived alone. She said, do you want a couple of dogs? Meaning it would make it easier for her. She doesn't have to take care of those dogs. She said, I'll give you a couple of dogs, but if they come in the heat, can I have the puppies? Can I have them back so I can breed them?
Okay. Miss Jepson, to me, then your story, that you had a lot of dogs. How many dogs did you have at the time that your brother got his 2 dogs? How many dogs did you have in your house?
20.
How would you know?
Don't speak to her. Don't speak to her!
Oh.
How many dogs did you have in your house? No.
I would believe probably 6 or 8 puppies and 4 adults.
So that's 10 dogs. Did you have 4 adults or 6, and you had 4 left after he took 2?
No, they were puppies when he received them.
How old?
Probably 5 months.
Well, if they were 5 months old, and usually you sell puppies when they're 12 weeks old, I assume these 2 did not sell.
I did not sell them. I was going to keep them for breeding.
But you didn't keep them.
I loaned them.
No, Miss Jepson, I don't buy that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
4.5 years later, you wake up and you say, I don't have my dogs and they weren't bred?
This has been going on for some time.
I know why she's here today.
Why?
And later today,
Miss Ellison had absolutely no right to go out and purchase this car without consulting with you first. You do understand that, Robert?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't agree, simply because...
I don't care whether you agree or not. That's not the issue.
Dog breeder Lisa Jepson says her brother, Mark Albert, won't return 2 Miki dogs she allowed him to temporarily keep.
Okay. I believe that you gave him the 2 puppies and you said you raise them, you feed them. When they went to the vet, who paid?
I did.
Who fed them?
I did.
Who had their nails clipped?
I did. They're also litter box trained, and you got to buy a litter.
They were his dogs. Now, you may have entered into an agreement with him to breed them.
Yes.
Which is what I believe, but I don't believe the other party's story. Yeah, so they were 5 months old, and what happened, Mr. Albert?
I had 2 of the dogs.
Don't look down. Look here.
I had 2 of the dogs. It was Christmas time. She told me that those dogs should have been in heat. You're lying to me. I said, I'm not lying.
How long had you had them at that point?
I would say almost a year.
Is that right, Miss Jepson, that he had had the dogs in his possession for a year?
I believe it was more like 7 months.
Fine. Go ahead.
Well, she told me I was lying about the dogs. 2 weeks later, after Christmas, one of the dogs came in heat. I called her and I told her, I says, I have a dog in heat. I brought her that dog, and I also said that dog has a problem with peeing. Every time you go near it, she pees. So she offered to keep that dog, breed the dog, and give me another dog. So my dog would have a friend because I work so many hours.
Is that what dog? How old was the dog that you gave him?
I believe right around 6 months.
6 months old.
It was another one that I wanted to keep for breeding in my own lineage.
Go ahead, Mr. Albert. So now you have 2 dogs, but not the 2 original ones. You have a new one?
I have a new one and I have my old one. And I've had them for, they're about 5 years old now.
They're 5 years old now? Is that right?
Yes, he is correct.
So what are you doing now, here 4.5 years later?
I'm looking for an adoption
It's not going to
fee.
happen. No money's going to happen here. Absolutely not a penny. You wanted your dogs back 6 months later. And if he refused to give them back to you, you go to a court, and the court said, I have this convoluted arrangement. It's not working out. I want my dogs back. 4.5 years later, you wake up and you say, I don't have my dogs, and they weren't bred?
This has been going on for some time. I've tried to contact him.
Have you been out of the country?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's not happening.
I know why she's here today.
Why?
Because she tried to sue my parents, her parents, less than a year ago over water rights. My parents bought 2 houses on a lake. They gave one to her for a very good price. My parents' house feeds the water to her house. And they told her she had so much time to get that fixed. Well, she never got it fixed. And then she turns around 5 years later and says, well, I'm going to sue them. I should. So I sent her a message saying LOL when she lost the case. She was very upset about that.
So I assume you sided with your parents?
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we're here 4.5 years later.
Right.
Very good. The case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's trying to get some more money back that she lost, trying to sue her own parents. Not a very good idea.
He's inappropriate, and he hits people.
She'll say she's wacko.
I don't want to be in that type of relationship with anybody.
She's been married to the wrong guy since she was 18, you know? She needs help.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ellison versus Randolph. Step forward.
Crystal Ellison is suing ex-boyfriend Robert Randolph for half the cost of a vehicle she purchased for their son.
Tell me your first name.
Robert Randolph.
Robert, how old are you?
17.
When was your birthday?
3/7/93.
When did you get your driver's license?
August 6, 2009.
Okay, now you can sit down. Miss Ellison, this is your complaint. You and Mr. Randolph have this lovely boy together. The 2 of you agreed that you would share the cost of a car for Robert when he turned 17. Mr. Randolph, according to your complaint, told you that he had purchased a car for Robert. And Mr. Randolph?
I purchased it 5909.
May I see that, please?
Yes. It was probably a couple of days before then, but I had to go to get the title done. So around 59.
Pamela Renee Randolph, who was that?
That's my wife.
And you titled the car in your name?
Yes, both our names.
But this car was going to be for your son?
Yes.
Now, you have a car.
Yes.
What kind of car do you have?
I have a 2008 Altima.
And your wife, what kind of car does she have?
99 Altima.
How much did you pay for this car?
$1,000.
What kind of needs did it have?
Needed tires, inspection sticker, and radio.
Have a picture of the car?
Yes.
Where did you buy it from?
My father-in-law.
What's the book value on the car at the time you bought it?
I think 25, around 25 if I'm correct.
Now, Miss Ellison, Mr. Randolph told you that he had purchased this car. So your lawsuit is that he was not forthcoming in delivering the car or making it available to you, so you went out and bought a car for your son, and you want him to pay you half of the cost of the car that you purchased for your son.
Correct.
Just the car?
There was communication and an agreement.
No, I'm not talking about the agreement for you to jointly purchase a car for your child. He told you that he was going to purchase a car for your son, and did he tell you how much it was?
He did not, no.
What did he say about the car that he was going to purchase for your son?
He said that there was a vehicle, a 91 Camry. According to him, it was in excellent condition and it drove very well.
And did you ask him how much it was? That would be a normal question since you were going to pay half.
That information was not provided and I did not ask the question.
You never asked the question?
I never saw evidence of the vehicle.
That's not what I'm asking you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The agreement indicated that it had to be received or in his possession before he got licensed.
Why did he have to get the car before he got licensed?
That was the verbal agreement between the two of us.
No way.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Crystal Ellison says ex-boyfriend Robert Randolph owes for half the cost of a vehicle she purchased for their son. Robert says she never consulted him.
Miss Ellison, he said, I have the car, it needs tires, and I want to put in a radio. And this was all before your son got his driver's license. This was sometime between May and the beginning of August. He didn't get his driver's license. No time did you ask him how much the car was?
I did not ask him how much the car was, no.
Interesting. Why not?
Well, to me, that information should have been provided if it was a car that was purchased for my son.
No, that's something that I would have asked if I was going to pay half of it. And my ex-husband said, gee, I found that car we've been looking for Robert. It drives really well. It just needs a couple of things. My first question to my ex-husband would have been, how much is it? That's a question that I would have asked. When did you go out and purchase this car that you purchased for your son?
The car was purchased August 24th, 2009.
I assumed you saw the car on or about the 24th, or did you see it before the 24th?
The car that I purchased? I saw it before.
When before?
I would say about 2 days before.
And did you reach an agreement with regard to the price from the seller?
I did, yes.
Between August 22nd and August 24th, did you communicate that with Mr. Randolph?
I did not communicate that to Mr. Randolph.
Why?
Because Mr. Randolph, from the time in which he claimed he had this 91 Camry, did not present any evidence. He was just giving me the runarounds with regards to things that needed to be done to the vehicle.
If you went out and purchased this car without consulting him with regard to the cost, then you can pay for it yourself, Miss Ellison. He's not a piggy bank for you. To buy your son a new car. You think you'd be responsible for half without a consult?
No, not if it was $10,000.
Well, what's the cutoff point?
The cutoff was the $5,000 range. That was the agreement.
Then why didn't you spend $5,000?
Well, I was trying to take both of our financial situations into consideration.
Then you should have consulted him. That's what you do. You consult with somebody if you're sharing an expense with them. You say, I found this car, it's $2,500, because that's what the cost of the car was. And he would have said to you either, I have the car is ready, or he would have said to you, that's too much money, I don't have that money, or he would have said to you, fine, but you can't just go and do it. And then a year later decide he's responsible for paying you half.
Well, he established that he was going to pay for the vehicle. What I don't understand is if Mr. Randolph had a 91 Camry for my son, and he knew that the agreement indicated that it had to be received or in his possession before he got licensed.
Why did he have to get, just a second, why did he have to get the car before he got licensed?
That was the verbal agreement between the two of us.
No way. I wouldn't give a child a car before he got licensed. I just gave a car to one of my grandchildren. Not until I saw that license did it go into his hands. Why in the world would somebody make an agreement that you give a car to a child? What if he failed his driving test? What if he could never pass his driving test? That's ridiculous, Miss Ellison.
Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, You want to be a good guy, Mr. Randolph, and if you put the tires on it, did you put the tires on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Had it inspected?
Yes, ma'am.
Passed inspection?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you want to be a good guy, you could sell it, and if the Blue Book value back then was $2,500, I'm sure you can get at least $1,000 for it now. And in order to keep pleasant relations with the mother of your son, I'd give her the money. But I'm not making an order for you to give her the money because she didn't consult you. And you had already had a car for him. You had a car, she got a car, now he's got 2 cars. So do you understand my ruling, sir?
Yes,
Want to
ma'am.
maintain nice relations? You take care of it? But I'm not ordering it because Miss Ellison had absolutely no right to go out and purchase this car without consulting with you first. You do understand that, Robert?
Yes, ma'am.
Just not fair. It's a court.
If
You
I
see?
could say something, I'm sorry.
You can say anything you like.
I don't agree, simply because...
I don't care whether you agree or not. That's not the issue.
If Mr. Randolph had this vehicle for my son, why was it never delivered to him?
Listen to me. That's not the issue. The issue is you cannot treat him like a piggy bank. You cannot, without consulting the father of your child with regard to a purchase, how much you're going to spend and what it is. Liked the outcome, but he communicated with you that I found a car. This is what it is. It needs tires. It needs inspection. It needs a radio. He discussed it with you. You didn't. You just went out and bought the car and then said, here's a bill. That's unreasonable, Miss Ellison. And if that's what you did, pay for it yourself. Pay for it yourself. He's not your personal piggy bank. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure. Excuse me. Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
The father had a responsibility, and he did not provide the vehicle that was supposedly for my son.
I bought a car. She went and bought another car.
He never indicated that there was an actual car.
I had the car for him, still got the car for him.
He made excuses as to why I couldn't pick up the vehicle.
Well, he never had his license.
It left me with no choice but to go and buy a car for my son because I keep commitments to my child.
If she don't get stuff when she wants it, she takes stuff into her own hands.
Stating that the car needed tires, but yet and still he was driving it to work.
It's about her getting her way. That's what it's about.
He could communicate and convey that it was a good vehicle, so obviously it was operational.
Well, I hope my son will come around and see a change.
Nothing will happen after this.
Right now, he's upset because of his mother, what she tells him to do. He listens to everything she says.
I'm ready to go home now.
It's worked out. He did the right thing.
4.5 years went by, and I just didn't love her anymore.
Their shared life had shared expenses.
So when you left a bill.
There was...
Pay careful attention to me.
But
just understand that she got the short end of the financial stick after you left.
Was he shortchanged?
She changed the locks on me. I cannot enter the premises to get any of my belongings that are still there.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy. 21-year-old Jenna White is suing her ex-boyfriend, Trevor Weiss, for his share of an American Express bill and for rent.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 16 on the calendar in the matter of White versus Weiss.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Let you folks have a seat.
Mr. Weiss, were you and the plaintiff living together when you got this American Express card?
Yes, we were.
How long had you been living together?
Well, we'd been together for about 4.5 years, and we got back together and decided we could try to make it work, so we would get an apartment. So we got an apartment and moved out.
American Express card. When did you get it?
I'm not 100% sure. She signed up for it, gave me a card just randomly out of the blue, so I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. When you used your American Express card, that she was the primary on the card, and she gave you a card.
Yes.
What did you use your card for?
I would use the card whenever we would go out to purchase groceries, gas, go out to
What
dinner.
did you use her card for?
Nordstrom's, shopping.
You mean
whatever.
she never purchased groceries without you?
Not that I know of, no.
And she never put gas in the car?
Not in my car, no. I would put gas in her car when we would go out, because we would take her car to the grocery store.
What was wrong with your car?
That's small. It was a compact. It was only a 2-door.
Who put the gas in your car?
Myself. I would use my debit card to pay for my own gas.
Really? So how did you rack up on your card $2,600?
gas and groceries
Okay.
and Walmart.
Do you have the receipts from his card?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at them because that's what she would like. She would like the amount that you accrued on your American Express card, and then she would like some money towards the rent because you moved out and you had signed a lease along with her.
His amounts are highlighted.
Okay. So, Ms. White, this is going to be very simple for you, my dear. All these bills, it looks to me as if were for the home. You would agree that all these...
All of that was purchased and...
For the home.
For the home.
Understand? So when you left,
Yes.
you left a bill. Do you understand?
There was...
Pay careful attention to me. When you left, there was a bill because you ran it as a household. Sometimes you used your credit card, sometimes she used her credit card. All the same stores on your card and hers, unless you were supporting somebody else's household. Were you, Mr. Weiss?
No, ma'am.
No. Then when you left, and you told me 5 minutes ago that it was your agreement to share the expenses, you walked out on a bill. Do you understand, Mr. Weiss?
I was told that would be paid off when she received a settlement for when she got hit by a car. She said there was no obligation for me to pay that money back ever, even when I got the card.
Listen to me, sir. You told me 5 minutes ago that your agreement when you lived together was you would share expenses. Then you told me that everything on the card was for the household. I looked. You were right.
I did.
Pay attention. Try opening up your ears, Mr. Weiss. You're not testimony that I'm bringing back to you.
Yes, ma'am.
You said, A, we shared expenses. B, everything on the card was not for me. It was for the household. And I'm telling you, when you left some expenses. Now do you understand?
I did pay her back.
Show me that you paid her back.
Sorry. Everything in the orange is money I gave her for the American Express to help pay that down.
You have something here for betting.
That was purchased on the American Express, and I gave her cash.
Show
for
me.
it.
Point it out to Bert. He'll show it to me. Betting.
Let's see, it was right.
The green one is
Walmart. November 27th, you charged $203.36. You charged in Walmart.
Yes, ma'am.
You transferred $150 to her before you bought the bedding.
Because we couldn't find the right size to fit our bed, so it took us a while to find the right size. It was an odd-shaped bed.
Are you odd? So you think that I believe that? That sounds so ridiculous that you transferred $150 to her a month before you went to the store and bought bedding. All right, Mr. Weiss. The balance at the end of the day, when you finally separated, was $5,000. You owe her half of that because that's what you agreed to. You owe her half of what that card is because you agreed to split the expenses. Now, when you moved out when? In December, January, or February?
I moved out in January.
You moved out when in January?
I moved out, I believe it was the 14th.
And you would pay January's rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay February's rent?
The agreement was that...
I asked you a question. Did you pay February's rent?
It was illegally taken out of my account, yes.
Did you pay February's rent?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But not March?
No.
And when did the lease terminate?
The lease terminates in June.
This June?
Yes.
Ma'am, the locks were changed.
Shh, shh, shh. I'd like to see what efforts you made to get a roommate.
I had an ad posted on roommates.com.
Show me.
I cannot show you because I spilled on it.
Well, I'm sorry. I can't help you then.
I also have quite a few friends that I've talked to at work, so I haven't been able to obtain a roommate.
Can't help you with the rent. I can't help you with the rent. Get a roommate.
I've tried, but honestly, I didn't sign on to an 8-month lease to live by myself. I signed on to an 8-month lease to live with him.
That's what happens. Things happen. You want to move in together without benefit of marriage and playhouse? That happens sometimes. Do you want him to stay there while he was dating somebody else?
No, that's not fair to me.
Of course. So you wanted him out?
I actually didn't want him to leave. I wanted to work.
Ma'am, she changed the locks in January.
Listen to me.
I couldn't even enter the premises even if I wanted to.
Are you trying to talk over me? Did you notice how quiet she was when I was questioning you? That's how quiet you're going to be, Mr. Weiss. I mean, bottom line was she got stuck. You moved out, you found somebody else, and you left her with a 2-bedroom apartment, and you left. Isn't that what happened?
She changed the locks.
Isn't that what happened?
No.
Just a second. Are you telling me, Mr. Weiss, are you telling me she changed the locks before you moved out?
She changed the locks?
Hey, pay careful attention to me, Mr. Weiss. Your mother may be crazy about you. I'm not.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That stupid grin on your face is inappropriate. Do you understand? It's ridiculous looking. Well, you don't belong here, first of all. You're nothing more than an irritant, and I don't know why he brought you.
And later today,
Now you're trying to rationalize that the indebtedness didn't exist at all. Unless you're telling me that your mother is a liar.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jenna White says ex-boyfriend Trevor Weiss owes for his share of credit card charges and for breaking a lease.
Now, are you telling me she changed the locks on you before you physically moved out?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
I was in the process of moving my items out because I didn't feel that they were safe in the apartment.
Because why were you moving out, Mr. Weiss?
I never decided to completely move out.
Why were you
because
moving out?
I didn't feel safe with my belongings at the apartment because she has broken my things before.
Mr. Weiss, why were you breaking up with her? You'd been together, according to you, 4.5 years.
4.5 years.
You want to tell me why?
4.5 years went by, and I just didn't love her anymore. And you can't expect to stay.
Just a second. Mr. Weiss, you are absolutely entitled to that. You are absolutely entitled to say, my feelings changed before we got married. It's a very good thing that we broke it off. But you have to understand that by you moving out, which is what you were doing, you were moving out. This wasn't as if she changed the locks and you said, I'm going to get the police and go back in and get my stuff, and I've been locked out of my apartment. You were leaving, Mr. Weiss, going to lose. You were leaving. And if she changed the locks on you, it was after that was already here. You were moving out your stuff. You were leaving. You were starting a different life someplace else. And she changed the locks. So what you decided to do is you decided to leave, and you left her with a lease on a larger apartment than she probably would have taken without you. That's what happened. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that I blame you. You're entitled to change your mind. You're entitled to change your feelings. You're entitled to find a new love. You're entitled to do all those things. Just understand that she got the short end of the financial stick after you left. Where did you go when you left?
I went to my parents' house.
For how long?
I've been there ever since.
You live there full time?
Yes.
Okay.
But
so you...
I did try. She was asking me for rent, and I said, let me move back in. I can help pay for the rent. Let me move back in. She said no.
Well, why would you move back in
It's
once
a
you had moved
two-bedroom
out?
apartment.
Why would you move back in, Mr. Weiss?
Because she was having trouble with the rent. We were together
course.
for 4 years. I did, emotionally, have a connection, saying, oh, I feel bad for moving out. I'll help you split the rent. Let me live in the second room. She said no.
Well, wouldn't that be ridiculous, Mr. Weiss? It would be ridiculous for you. Out of baloney. I'm telling you, you live with your parents. They may think you're adorable and very bright. You're really not. Because I could do you in a minute. They think that you're cute. All you have to do is acknowledge responsibility. You're entitled to change your mind. You're not entitled to be irresponsible. And if you moved in with your parents, I guarantee you, Mr. Weiss, that you're not paying your parents anywhere near what your share of the rent was when you lived with the plaintiff. So it would have been the right thing to do if you changed your mind and she was stuck with a lease to help her out.
She defaulted on the lease, though. She changed the locks on me. I cannot enter the premises to get any of my belongings that are still there.
What belongings do you have that are still?
I have a TV. I have books. I have other items.
Do you have a counterclaim?
No, I tried, but it was too late.
Well, that's not my problem.
I apologize for that.
That's not my problem. Who is this?
This is my best friend, Evan.
And who is this?
This is my girlfriend.
When did she become your girlfriend?
Oh, I think it was
not
in
an answer.
February. It was late February.
Fast mover. As I said, Mr. Weiss, you're not responsible to stay with her. if your feelings change and if you find another girl and move on, which is exactly what you did. And your statement to me that you were willing to move back in with her and to help her with the rent because you felt sorry for her was disingenuous, because others tell me that she started to be your girlfriend in February. So what you expected Miss White to do after having been with you for 4.5 years is to tolerate a circumstance where you would be coming home in the evening and maybe bringing your new girlfriend home with you. That stupid grin on your face is inappropriate. Do you understand?
Sorry.
Do you understand? It's stupid.
I think it's a whole lot of nonsense.
I think that the stupid grin on your face is ridiculous.
Well,
you don't belong here, first of all.
Thanks.
You don't belong here, first of all. You're nothing more than an irritant, and I don't know why he brought you. You owe $4,900, judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think she was a little upset.
It was a really crazy experience.
And she was being irrational.
And I'm really glad that I can have him out of my life.
She was always a money-hungry person.
That just is a really big sigh of relief for me.
Looks like she's going to go on a shopping spree.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lawrence versus Wobig. Step forward, please.
John Lawrence is suing his estranged stepson, 19-year-old Jake Wobig, for the balance on a car he helped him buy.
Mr. Lawrence, I assume this is your soon-to-be ex-wife.
That's
Is that
correct.
right? I've read your papers. This is what it's about. You claim that this young man, who is still your stepson, owes you for a car that he purchased. Claim that you have a note that he signed for that amount of money.
Yes.
The defendant says that he signed the note under duress, that the money was taken out of a joint account that you had with his mother, and the car was only $500 and not $1,300. So those are all your excuses, am I correct?
Correct.
When was the car purchased?
It was purchased in July of 2009.
Okay. How long were you and Mr. Lawrence married?
8 years.
Did you have a joint bank account?
Yes, we did.
When you took out the money from the bank to purchase this car, Mr. Lawrence, where was it taken from?
Out of our joint account at Idaho Central, it was deposited into our joint account at Wells Fargo.
But it was taken out of a joint account.
Yes.
If it was taken out of a joint account, how do you rationalize that the debt is solely to you?
The money that came from was an inheritance that I received from a great aunt. We used that.
It was in a joint account.
Yes, I put it there.
Then it's joint money. You may have put more money in the joint account from an inheritance, but your money was pooled. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, then there is no rational basis for me to find that all of the money that was paid for the car was yours.
That would follow.
Good. Great. So we're in agreement. See how fair I am? See how easy this is? Because for a long time you lived together, got nasty after a while, and I assume, Mr. Wobig, that you and the plaintiff are not going to have a long-term fatherly relationship, so it doesn't have to end with a lot of animus any more than it already has. Now, how much was the car? Is not an answer. How much was the car?
Sorry, Your Honor. I believe it was $1,350.
Did you pay any of that money back to your stepfather and or your mother?
Yes, both of them.
How much did you pay back?
I believe $400.
How much was paid back?
Jake paid me in cash approximately $200.
Your mother says it was $200.
I also paid him money as well after she left.
How much did you pay him?
$200. I paid for 2 months. So with the total of those two, it's $400.
Okay. Did he pay you $200 after the two of you separated?
He paid $150, according to the records that I have.
I paid $200.
Okay. So that leaves $950 left, right?
Correct.
Now, you explain to me why you don't owe half the money to Mr. Lawrence.
Well, because when I was going to school, I was in Portland, and they were helping me out with the car. It was more of a gift. I told them that...
It's not more of a gift if you gave back money.
Yeah, but she was helping me with rent, with food, expenses like that. So I told her that when I did get money, I would send her my part. And there was no agreement of me paying for the car whatsoever when the car was purchased until a year later when he brought up this contract. There was no mention of it until a year later after she brought up divorce.
Great. Now you're going to pay him $475. Your mother says you paid her back $200. Is your mother a liar?
No.
He says you paid him back $150. You said $200. You corrected him. I took your word for it. I said $200. Now you're trying to rationalize that the indebtedness didn't exist at all. That's not a good thing for a 19-year-old.
Well,
Unless you're telling me that your mother is a liar. Is your mother a liar that you paid her back $200?
No, Your Honor. but
Good.
it wasn't specifically for that.
Yes, it was.
just trying
That's
to
what
help
she
my
said.
car. It was also for other things as well.
No, that's what she said. Otherwise, she would have said, no, he never gave me money for the car. He gave me money for other things, but he never gave me money for the car. So it's either your mother is a liar or mistaken or it was a loan.
Okay.
Got it?
I got it.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Oh, wait,
in the amount
Your
of
Honor?
$475. Thank you.
The amount of the
That's all.
receipt is not on the same as how much he's suing me for, though.
What?
Yeah, the amount on the receipt. That's why I was confused.
Just a second. He's not getting the amount on a receipt. Do you understand? He's getting less. Are you correct? Mr. Wobig.
Yeah.
Better stay in school. He's suing for $1,125. I am not giving him $1,125. I am giving him $475. Are you complaining about that?
No, I'm confused because I looked up the receipt, and the receipt only says $500. That's why I was confused. And that's the receipt that he wrote out for the car.
What are you confused about? I asked you. Listen to me. Smarty pants. I asked you how much the car was. You told me it was $1,350. I believed you. Were you lying to me? No. Were you lying to me?
No.
Good. That's all.
Why is that excuse? You may step out.
He wouldn't give me any of my stuff back unless I gave him money.
He was my stepkid.
He was intimidating. He was threatening.
To me, a stepkid and a kid is the same. And
he injured my dog. That my dog died because of him.
That he just goes on and hopefully learns something out of this.
Absolutely happy it's over.
Just let life be life.
I can just put it all behind me. Forget he ever existed.
He was hitting on other girls in front of me at the bar.
A dirty secret was exposed.
I found out that he was cheating on me.
You locked him out of the house.
That night I did, yes.
Where was he supposed to go?
But the secrets didn't stop there.
I also have his criminal until recently.
You lived with him for 4 years.
I did. He's a very good liar.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy. Danielle Maples is suing her former live-in boyfriend, Darrell Twombly, for damaging her property and her car during several domestic arguments.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, it's case number 474 on the calendar, the matter of Maples versus Twombly. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Maples, when did you and Mr. Twombly live together?
Between 2006 and 2010.
Did you live in the same place, or did you move?
For most of the time, we lived in the same place. We moved to a farmhouse in Henderson, Minnesota for 1 month.
Other than the 1 month, which is not the place where this problem occurred, where were you living?
In a townhouse in Prior Lake, Minnesota.
And you had a lease?
I own it.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it in 2005.
And how did you share the expenses with Mr. Twombly?
I paid for most of the bills. He also did exhibition riding on motorcycles and did help with expenses with some of that.
And on what date did this incident occur that you're complaining about?
The first incident was in March of 2010. He came home after drinking a little too much, and he was banging on the door, screaming at me, and I didn't want to let him in the house. I was afraid of him at the time, and he broke the window next to the door.
Did you lock him out of the house that night?
I did lock him out of the house at that time.
That's my question. You locked him out of the house?
That night I did, yes.
Okay. You know you have no right to do that.
I thought I did, but I guess I didn't.
No. That was his permanent residence. He had his mail there. He contributed to the residence. If you have a problem with him, to get him out of the residence, the response is not to lock him out in the middle of the night because you're angry because he was out drinking. Because if what you thought was if he was out drinking and he was not rational, did you think he was going to get rational because you locked him out? Where was he supposed to go? You didn't care.
I didn't want him coming into my house and taking it out on me.
Well, so tell me what happened after you locked him out of the house, Miss Maples.
After I locked him out of the house, he came to the house.
Yes, I know. He was banging on the window and broke the window.
Yes. And he apologized for everything that he had done prior that night.
Well, what had he done?
He was hitting on other girls in front of me at the bar.
So you had been out earlier that evening together?
Correct.
Ah, now it all comes clear. You see, you just have to ask the next question. So you were out together. It wasn't that you were home all night sitting and watching TV and knitting, and he came home drunk and you were afraid of him, so you locked the door. That's not what happened. Why are you shaking your foot? Don't do it. It's annoying. So he broke the window. You want to be compensated for the broken window?
I would like to be compensated, yes. He
Did you
also
break the
told me
window?
that he would pay for it.
The window did break when I was banging on it to get in the house.
All right. So who's supposed to pay for the broken window?
I thought the association would pay for the broken window because it's in a complex.
They may pay for it, but then they bill the homeowner. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, so you got to pay for the broken window. That doesn't mean that I don't understand your frustration at being locked out, but your response is you go to the police station, you say, this is my home, she can't lock me out. Police will come in, they say to her, you cannot lock him out. He lives here.
Yes.
You may have to take him to housing court, but you can't lock him out. Then, of course, what you probably do is to go and get a protective order against you. Okay, so how much was the window, Miss Maples?
$425.
All right.
To a farmhouse, April of 2010. And I found out that he was cheating on me.
Just a minute. So after he had this violent outburst and you were afraid of him, you moved out of the townhouse and moved in with him someplace else?
Yes. I was in love with him, so
Forget
I
the
wanted
window.
to take care of.
What's next?
What do you...
I want to know what's next. What else are you suing for? I just scratched off the window. If you're foolish enough to tell me the story that you were afraid of him and that's why you locked him out, and then, of course, you let him back inside, you had a fight, but then you're all made up and cuddled and lived together, and then moved into another place together, I'm not interested in the window. Now, let's
Okay.
go. What else do you think he owes you for?
Okay, then we moved into a different place, and I found out he was cheating on me. I confronted him about it. He got very angry when I confronted him about it and started breaking a lot of stuff in the house, wouldn't let me leave the house, and I finally was able to leave the house when I found a spare set of keys. He threw my cell phone at my car, which was only a month old. I just purchased the car. The cell phone was damaged, the car was damaged, and then I had to get a restraining order on him because he wouldn't leave me alone.
What do you mean he wouldn't leave you alone?
He was calling me nonstop. He went to my work he told them that I was doing drugs, and I was not doing drugs. And he also was calling my friends, and once I left the farmhouse, he followed me to the house that I was going to stay at that night, and he would not leave me alone.
Tell me how it happened that he damaged your car with your cell phone.
I was leaving the house. I didn't...
You were leaving?
Yep.
Okay, so you were leaving.
Yes.
Go ahead.
He grabbed...
Moment by moment.
Okay, he grabbed my cell phone.
From where?
From the countertop.
What countertop?
The countertop in the kitchen inside the house.
Go ahead.
Then he stepped outside the front door and started throwing the phone at my car. He threw it once, then he picked it up again. Then he threw it a second time while I was driving out of the lot and threw it a second time. Then he picked it up a second time and he threw it a third time. Then I was finally leaving the lot, and that's how he threw the phone in my car.
Go ahead, Mr. Twombly.
I did not do any of that. I never got the phone. She left. She had the phone in her hands. She was leaving. Why would you not take your phone if you're leaving, especially out of the place? She threw the phone at me, and it hit the car. And, I mean, she's just blaming it on me. It's a lie.
I also have his criminal history that shows all of his history of the things that he's...
You assume you knew all about that?
I didn't know until recently.
You lived with him for 4 years.
I did. He's a very good liar.
You lived with him for 4 years. Did he display those traits when he was living with you? Is not an answer.
A little bit, yes.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How could she take out a SIM card, put it in a new phone? It had just been flung at her car.
She had the phone with her when she
Explain that
left.
to me, Miss Maples.
Huh?
Ha is what? What kind is ha?
And later today,
What are you doing with a car that doesn't have insurance?
Was not driving the car.
I don't believe that. I don't believe you, with 3 children, you're not driving the car without insurance. No question in my mind.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danielle Maple says ex-boyfriend Daryl Twombly owes for breaking her window and for throwing her cell phone at her car. Daryl is countersuing for the return of a laptop and a camera.
Now, do you have a receipt for a new phone?
Yeah.
I'd like to see the receipt for the new phone. May 4th, date Maples. Fine. Now, that's your problem. $130 for a new phone. Now, can I see the alleged damage to your car?
This is the original picture, and then these are the two other pictures. Would you like the receipt of the estimate for the car?
Yes. Okay. Now, you have a counterclaim, Mr. Twombly. You say that the plaintiff took your laptop and camera.
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
When she was moving out, after all of this happened, she was moving...
You mean out of the farmhouse?
Out of the farmhouse, yes. When she was moving out, I was there for a second just to grab some things, and I left. But I didn't want to be there when she moved out. I wanted to let her get her things and get out, because at that point I didn't want to talk to her. But she took my laptop and my camera in that period of time when she was moving out. And I had asked her about it.
When did you ask her about it?
Like the day of or the day after, about the laptop. She said that it was...
How did you ask her about it?
Through phone.
What phone?
She had an extra phone. I believe she had a SIM card in her phone. She could just take out. And actually, that was laying around.
How could you take out a SIM card?
It just comes out in the back of the phone.
No, I understand. How could she take out a SIM card that's on the ground? They'd just been flung at her car. How could she take out a SIM card, put it in a new phone?
She had
or
the
a
phone,
different phone?
She had the phone with her when she
Explain that
left.
to me, Miss Maples.
Huh?
Ha is what? What kind is ha? Don't look on the floor.
Okay, I was able...
He called you?
He called me.
He
I was
called you
able
on a
to-
cell phone, which
Yes,
is how he calls you.
correct.
You had a cell phone prior to May 5th when you bought this new phone, according to you. Explain to me how you got the SIM card out of the old phone that had been thrown at your car.
I was able to get the phone that he threw at my car. It was still in the grass.
Just a minute. So he threw the phone at your car and you drove away. How did that come about that you came back and got the phone that was on the grass?
I came back after he left the house.
So you came back and you picked up the phone?
Yes. It was not usable, but I was able to get my SIM card out.
Where did you put the SIM card?
Into a separate phone that I had. A phone
that you had from where?
That I had from before I bought that phone.
That was working?
Yes.
Go.
Well, after she came back
So you
and got
called
the
her
phone,
and asked her where your laptop and camera were. What kind of camera?
it was a Canon camera I used for my exhibition riding, for my work stuff on my computer that I
Where's
didn't have.
his camera? Look. Where's his camera?
That's not his camera and that's not his laptop. They were given to me as gifts.
Given to you as gifts by whom?
By him, before we broke up.
How many computers do you have?
One.
The one computer that you have is the computer that you took from the house?
I did not take the computer. He owed me $1,400, and that magically disappeared.
Just a second. He owed you $1,400 from what?
I gave him $1,400 for the rent for the farmhouse, and the $1,400 somehow disappeared. Then he gave me a laptop and a camera to replace the $1,400, and that's where I got the laptop and the camera. So they were gifts. I did not take them from him.
Had he used the camera for work?
He had never used the camera.
What do you mean? So it was a brand new computer and a brand new camera?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Twombly. I'm having trouble with her.
I have pictures on the camera from me actually riding. So there's pictures of me on my bike on that camera. So I don't know how I never used the camera. And I have used the laptop for work. Those are my only two means.
What did Miss Maples say when you asked her about the laptop and the camera?
I've done for you in the past. She knew at this point she was taking care.
Don't tell me what she knew.
She was taking care of me. She didn't want me to get a job. I tried to get my own job because I didn't like not having a job. Okay, so she knew at any point she could yank the plug.
Don't tell me what she knew, sir.
Yes, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
maybe you unplugged the battery and you had to plug in the battery. You didn't have to do any of that stuff, did you, sir?
No, ma'am.
You went and took the key and you turned it on and it just went, started right up.
It's right up,
right?
Your Honor. Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danielle Maples says ex-boyfriend Daryl Twombly owes for breaking her window and for throwing her cell phone at her car. Daryl is countersuing for the return of a laptop and a camera.
Now, how old are you?
28.
You want to get a job?
Yes, I do.
Get a job.
I'm working on it. It's hard.
What does that have to do with her, whether or not you have a job?
Those things I used for work, those made me money.
No, you said to me she didn't want me to work. She was basically taking care of me.
I was working when I was with her. I did get my own job. I took it upon myself to get a job, and I worked.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do. What do you want, a medal for that? That's what grown-ups do.
No.
They get a job. They support themselves.
That's what I did. I did get one. I'm not.
Yeah. Yes.
You have the camera and the laptop?
I do.
Very good. You get your money, $700 for the car and $150 for your phone as soon as he gets back the laptop and the camera. Do you understand?
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much. That's all.
Officer, excuse, you may step out.
She's been harassing me. She put a restraining order on me.
He's violent and
Has been harassing me for months.
he wouldn't leave me alone, so I had to get a restraining order.
She has a restraining order on me, and she's contacting me.
He was stalking me.
She's trying to ruin my life.
Avoid people like that.
I honestly want her to leave me alone. Otherwise, I'm going to have to try to put a restraining order on her.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Davis versus Davis. Step forward, please.
James Davis is suing his daughter, 26-year-old Sonia Davis, for reimbursement for tickets he received while driving her uninsured car.
Mr. Davis, your lawsuit really is one amount of money, but there were two separate instances. So let me try to succinctly put them into perspective. You went to visit your daughter. This is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And she has children, so you were visiting your grandchildren. There came a time when the children had to be picked up at school. Another relative had other kids. Instead of walking over to the school, you took your daughter's car with your daughter in it to go and pick up the children from school. Children, how many children?
My aunt.
No, how many of your children were there?
3.
And your aunt had how many children with her?
3.
So there was 6. And what kind of car do you have?
SUV, Jeep, Grand Cherokee.
So there was you and your father and 6 children is 8. And your aunt?
Yes, ma'am.
All piled in after school. Well, the kids weren't in their seatbelts, and you started to drive, and the police stopped the car. The car had no insurance.
That's correct. Yeah.
And you were given a ticket for children driving in the car without seatbelts.
Yes, sir.
Because they were all over the place. And you believe your daughter is responsible for paying those tickets.
Yes, sir.
Is that simplistically what the case is about?
That's correct.
Yes, ma'am.
And the reason I say there are 2 different parts to it is, how would your father know that your car had no insurance?
Because I made him fully aware before he decided to drive us to school.
Is that right? Did your daughter tell you that the car had no insurance?
No, in fact, Your Honor, we went out to her garage, and I asked her, before I even got in the vehicle, I said, Sonia, do you have insurance before I drive this car? Because of our history in the past.
What kind of history?
Well, in the past, I've driven a car of hers that didn't have it, asked her, and she said, yes, Daddy, I do.
Well, whether you did or didn't have this conversation is not particularly relevant. You let your father drive a car that didn't have insurance. What are you doing with a car that doesn't have insurance?
The car was just resting in the back of my garage.
The car was what?
It was resting in the back of my garage. I was not driving the car.
I don't believe that. How many cars did you have?
1.
Then I don't believe you. With 3 children, you're not driving the car without insurance. No question in my mind. No question. You drove the car, he drove the car. Whenever you had to take your children someplace, you drove the car. There's no question in my mind. Because how long hadn't you had insurance? How many
it was
months
a couple of
hadn't
months
you
that I didn't have insurance.
Couple of months. So if a couple of months you hadn't had insurance, and you mean this Jeep just started right up when your father got in the car? After having been idle in the garage for months? Just started right up like that? Or maybe you unplugged the battery and you had to plug in the battery. You didn't have to do any of that stuff, did you, sir?
No, ma'am.
You went and took the key and you
Your
turned it on and it just went, started right up.
Right up,
right?
Your Honor. Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
How much was the ticket?
$543, Your Honor, and 40 cents.
Just for the insurance?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
And how much was the ticket for driving with all the kids in the car without seatbelts?
$772.20.
That's your problem.
Okay.
Lack of insurance is her problem. You driving the car, because you're an intelligent man, with all those kids in the car without seatbelts on, and you know what the law is.
Yes, Your Honor.
I can't ascribe that transgression to her because all you had to do was get out of the car and say, I'm not driving this car. I'm not driving these kids. Too many kids in this car, too many people in this car. I'm not driving. You were unlucky that you got stopped a couple of blocks that you had to drive home. But you're responsible for the ticket for the insurance because it was your car, $543. Your dad's responsible for $772.20, which is driving without proper seat belts for children. Is that fair, sir?
That's yes, Your Honor.
Good. That's my judgment. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Just want my daughter to know I love her.
It's very upsetting.
It's just, I want her to have good morals.
The simple fact that it's supposed to be my father.
To have integrity and not be afraid of the truth.
And be able to make this the kind of last resort.
But you have to be accountable.
Instead of the first resort, but I'm used to it.
In this life, and the law is the law.
He drove extremely fast. I was pounding on the windows.
So why did you give him the keys?
When their parents weren't watching.
We lost control of the car, the speed I was going, into mailboxes, and that was that.
Teens find trouble.
And who do you think is responsible for that accident?
Miss Wilson.
Why?
She gave me permission to drive the car.
I want to know if you actually really believe that.
I actually really believe it, Your Honor.
Well, then you're not as smart as I thought you were.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy. Matt Wilson and his daughter Lindsay are suing Lindsay's former best friend, 18-year-old Zachary Castillo, and his mother, Migdalia, for the cost to fix their truck.
Order. All rise. That's case number 54 on the calendar in the matter of Wilson versus Castillo.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Wilson, this is your daughter, and it's your claim her to give him the keys to her car, which is actually in your name. He drove the car with her in it. He wrecked the car, and you want him to be solely responsible for the damage.
Yes, through his admittance, Your Honor, he felt responsible.
How many times has he driven your father's car?
Probably just once, maybe twice.
Listen. What's your first name?
Lindsay.
Lindsay, are you his only daughter?
No.
He has other daughters?
Mm-hmm.
Then he should be aware of the fact that when teenagers, and you are a teenager, is that right? When they speak and move their mouths, they lie. Now, I know that because I've had a lot of teenagers. How many times has he driven your father's car?
Twice.
On what dates?
I don't remember this another time, but the...
Before or after this crash?
After.
You got where I'm going?
I know.
You know where I'm going? First of all, he drove the car before. He also drove the car afterwards. Did you know he drove the car afterwards?
I was familiar. I was supporting my daughter in
I
as
thought
far
you
as...
didn't answer my question. I want you to answer my question. And I'm not finished with him.
I understand.
We're talking about responsibility.
True.
Not yours, hers. So I'm going to repeat my question. Did you know he drove your car? When did you find that out?
It was after the fact, I would say the next day, in talking with my daughter. I was not happy with the situation. She has responsibilities. She's the drum major at her high school. She was the head drum major as a senior.
Oh,
but
I don't care.
To those things...
I'm not saying she's a bad girl.
Right.
I'm saying for one reason or another, she likes him as a friend. She likes him as a whatever. That's what kids do with their cars. They let friends drive their cars. That's why parents sometimes say to their kids, "I'm not using my car.
It's true.
My insurance isn't going to go skyrocketing because some nut was acting irresponsibly." I think you're responsible, but I don't know him, and I don't think he's responsible. So let's understand each other. I don't believe she was bullied or forced to give him the keys to the car. We understand each other? That would be a yes.
Yes.
Now, on what date did you crash her car?
September 11, 2009.
Where were you immediately before the accident happened, before you got into the car?
At my house.
Who was at your house?
Just Lindsay. My parents were there, but they had left.
Well, if your parents were there but they had left, that means that you were there alone with Lindsay.
Correct.
And what were you and Lindsay doing?
She was dyeing my hair and we were listening to music.
So had you driven her car before the 11th?
One time.
When?
I don't know the exact date, but it was beginning of August.
Where did you go?
She had driven it first, and then towards like a mile within the range of our houses, she let me drive. And we drove to a park that was down the street from my house, and we just sat there and talked. And then I drove home, and then she drove home.
That sound familiar?
Yeah, it does.
So that would be 3 times.
Yeah.
Now, what happened on the 11th?
We were supposed to go pick up a friend. We didn't know where the house was. I had to call for an address. So that's when she proceeded, you know, we're just wasting time. She dyed my hair. We were having fun. Then they called, said, ready to pick up.
Why did you want her to dye your hair?
We were bored. Had nothing else to do. Small town.
Reading, building something. None of that ever occurred to you.
I guess teenagers aren't very productive.
And a smart teenager, smart boy,
He is.
could probably get people to pay attention to him just by virtue of his intellect and his ability, not with all the other things he does to himself to get attention.
This is very true.
Okay, so now you've got directions how to go to the other person's house.
Correct. Country road. Didn't really know where we were going, but we ended up there.
Who was driving?
I was.
How did you get the keys?
Lindsay gave them to me.
And she got into the passenger seat.
Correct, Your Honor.
Were you talking on the way to the friend's house?
We got to the street. The street's name was Roosevelt. We were down there, dark, country road. What happened is we had the address of the house, but we weren't aware that the mailbox was on the opposite side of the house. So when we saw the mailbox on the left-hand side of the street, we thought that the house it was in front of was the house we were supposed to go to. We went in there. We were about to get out of the car. We had the music blaring. An old couple was staring at us. We're like, oh, we better get out of here because this isn't the house. Backed up, parked on the side of the road. We finally got to make the call to ask, you know, where the house was. They said, oh, we were right across the street. We saw you, but music was too loud. We couldn't flag you down. So my friend told me, hey, we have our cell phones. We'll just flag you down. We pulled out, started driving down the road. Lost control of the car because of the speed I was going. Ran into mailboxes, and that was that.
Okay. And who do you think is responsible for that accident?
I don't think I was responsible.
Was I responsible?
No.
Was your mother responsible?
Absolutely not.
Was Mr. Wilson responsible?
No.
Think Officer Byrd here was responsible?
No.
Who do you think was responsible?
Miss Wilson.
Why?
She gave me permission to drive the car.
That's not an answer, sir. I mean, do you really believe that? I want to know if you actually really believe that.
I actually really believe it, Your Honor.
Well, then you're not as smart as I thought you were.
Sorry to disappoint you.
Okay. So I'm going to make you look very foolish. Raised you. When you have permission to do something that's legal, by the way, you do have a driver's license, don't you?
Not anymore.
Did you?
At the time, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So the only thing that happened was you were either going too fast, or you weren't looking where you were going, or you were preoccupied with loud music because the mailbox didn't move. Right?
Correct.
Now, if I give Officer Byrd, who I've known for a very, very long time, if I give him permission to drive my car and he goes 60 miles an hour in a 30-mile zone, or bends down to pick up his cell phone that's dropped on the floor, or leans over to grab a sip of coffee, and he has an accident, Officer Byrd would not say it's my fault because I loaned him the car, right?
That's right.
He would say, it's my fault. I wasn't driving properly. I had lawful authority to drive your car because I had a license, but it's my fault. Your fault. I don't even think it's partially her fault. She gave you permission, but you're a licensed driver?
Correct.
Were you licensed to drive in the evening?
Yes.
You licensed to drive with someone, then you have a problem. Then she has a problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You called the people whose house you were going to, and you were going to go back there, driving with him. I mean, you may want to tell your father a grandma story, but don't tell me a grandma story.
And later today,
I had 2 brothers.
One of them passed away.
Yes, ma'am.
And he was killed in a car crash.
He survived the car crash, complications afterwards 2 months later.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Matt Wilson and his daughter Lindsay are asking Lindsay's former friend, Zachary Castillo, to pay for damage he caused to their truck. Zachary claims it's Lindsay who should be held responsible.
Now, did you know he wasn't able to drive with someone else in the car?
Yeah.
Then you gave him permission to do something that he wasn't legally able to do.
Yes.
Then you're both responsible. That's reasonable. You gave your daughter permission to drive the car by giving him the keys to the car, which she did. It's not this bully nonsense. She gave permission to drive your car to someone who had no legal right to do that. And that she can't do. He, on the other hand, is not an idiot. And he knows he's not supposed to drive a car with another passenger in the car. Aside from the fact that he physically caused the accident, take a walk, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Took a good ride, though. I do have some
Well,
pictures.
it took a ride after he hit it. Can I see it, please?
I'm going to show the pictures of the...
Included are the pictures of the truck itself with the damaged windshield. It was actually a truck that was driven. It was the only reason that Lindsay is actually probably still alive, that it was in a truck.
Who paid for this mailbox?
Actually, it was referred through conversation. When we consulted our insurance, they said because of Zachary being the driver, that he would be responsible, so we kept referring to them.
Did you ever get in touch with the people to replace their mailbox?
Yes.
Did you pay for the mailbox?
Yes, Your Honor.
You did?
Yes.
How much was it?
$66.90.
$66.90.
Great. What were your out-of-pocket expenses?
I have charges for repairing and towing, and then also body shop estimates after the fact, with court costs totaling of $1188.84.
And how much do you think the defendant is responsible for?
As far as the windshield and such like that, as far as its price.
Your expenses are $1,100. What do you think the defendant is responsible for?
As far as a father, I take him for his word when he had said that he'll take care of it.
Sir, your daughter is responsible as much as he is. You have an $1,100 expense, and I'm asking you, she gave the car to an unlicensed driver to drive.
I would consider all of it, but if you consider 50% being the effect.
I do, yes.
May I say my side of the story?
What's your side of the story?
Like what happened, because the first time he drove my car, he did go extremely fast through our neighborhood. And I did feel in danger. I was actually in the back. I was pounding on the windows.
So why did you give him the keys?
Because this was a time I thought he was responsible, you know, like...
You have no excuse to give your car to an unlicensed driver.
Well, he was licensed then.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't licensed to drive a car with a passenger in it.
Oh, no, not with a passenger, just
right,
licensed
and you
driver.
were a passenger.
Yes.
All 3 times that he drove the car, you were a passenger.
Mm-hmm. But may I finish my story?
I don't care what your story is, actually. You gave your father's car to an unlicensed driver. Not once, 3 times.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're partially responsible for what happened on that day. And if he was driving too fast, he should have gotten out of the car, walked to somebody's house, said, I want to call the police because somebody now no longer has permission to drive my car. You didn't. You called the people whose house you were going to, and you were going to go back there, driving with him. I mean, you may want to tell your father a grandma story, but don't go to $550. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was out, and next thing I heard, Zach was driving the truck.
Really fast, and when he hit the mailboxes, I was terrified.
Just 2 kids having fun.
He told me to get in the driver's seat.
No, I never did.
I don't blame him or anything. I really want to stay friends with him.
I agree with her. I'd like to call us friends because, you know, it's kind of hard now after everything that's been said and done.
I want to say we're friends.
Graduation's coming up afterwards. If we don't talk to each other, see each other, no sweat on my back.
I thought he was my friend, and I'm not lying about him telling me to switch the seats with him. I would never do that.
It's funny because the reason why I was driving was because she was too stoned to drive.
I was. I'm going to be completely honest. It was a mistake, and I've stopped doing it completely. I really have, and I don't want to do it again.
She was incapable of driving. I drove us home, so she'd be safe.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Powell versus Powell. Step forward.
Karen Powell is suing her nephew, 24-year-old Sterling Powell, for the return of money she paid for his brother's funeral.
Okay, let me see if I can simplify this. This is your nephew.
Yes.
You had at least one brother. How many brothers, siblings do you have altogether?
I had 2 brothers.
One of them passed away.
Yes, ma'am.
And he was killed in a car crash. When was that?
He survived the car crash, complications afterwards, too. Late, man.
This is what your lawsuit is about. After your nephew died, they needed money for the funeral.
Yes.
You gave $1,000 towards the funeral, according to you.
Yes.
How did you become his signatory for his Social Security check?
When he was in the hospital, he asked me to take care of his checks for him, so I had to go down to Social Security, and they told me to open up a joint account.
So after he died, he got another check.
Yes.
Which you cashed.
Yes.
And which, according to you, you gave your other nephew towards the funeral.
Yes.
Then Social Security says you weren't entitled to that other check because he had died. So they attached your bank account and took that other $1,000 back.
Yes.
So far, according to you, you've given your nephew $2,000 towards the funeral.
Yes.
That you want him to return to you.
Yes.
Now, you want him to return that to you because the insurance company, which was the insurance company for the car, paid you, Mr. Powell, how much money after your brother's death?
The full amount was $5,200, and after the lawyer fees, it was basically $3,500.
Now, how much did you contribute towards your brother's funeral, Mr. Powell?
I contributed $500.
And how much money did Miss Powell contribute?
She contributed the first. I was another $1,000.
What happened to that cash check?
She cashed in the IRS. Well, whoever.
Well, I know she cashed it,
yes,
Mr. Powell. That's not my question. That check had to be returned because your brother had already expired.
Yes.
On what date did your brother die?
May 21st.
When was he buried?
The funeral was about 3 weeks later. It took a while for the funeral to happen because we had to get the money together. So the funeral was, I say June, I think it was June 6th.
And when did you receive the last Social Security check?
June 1st.
So when the government took back the $1,000, it is clear to you that your aunt actually paid $2,000 towards the funeral.
Yes, ma'am.
You paid $500.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you take the $500 from the $3,500 you got, that's $3,000 left. Why didn't you give your aunt the $2,000 that she paid towards the funeral?
I offered to give her $1,000.
I know you offered to give her $1,000. She rejected the offer of $1,000 because she gave you $2,000.
Yes.
My question to you is, what else were you going to do with the money?
I was going to split it 3 ways, with her, with me, and my younger brother.
How much did your younger brother pay for the funeral?
He didn't pay anything.
Well, then why would you give him anything?
Because the lawyer informed me that the $3,000 we was getting, it was only $1,000 for coverage for funeral. The rest was going to his next of kin. Me and my youngest extra.
What do you mean you were going to try to give her a little extra? What does that mean, Mr. Powell?
So that we could work it 3 ways between all of us.
Well, first, did you take the $500 off that you put into the funeral?
Yes.
So then that's $3,000 left.
Yes, ma'am.
So you made yourself whole by paying yourself back the $500.
Yes, ma'am.
And after you made yourself whole, you were going to give her $1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And then split the rest 3 ways. Is that what you were going to do, Mr. Powell?
The way I was going to split the money, I was going to give her $1,000.
No, you give her back $1,000. You haven't made her whole yet. You've made yourself whole.
Yes.
You've taken $500 that you put in for the funeral. You're going to give her $1,000 even though she put in $2,000. And then my question is, that leaves $2,000 left.
Yes.
Now, are you going to split that $2,000 3 ways with your aunt or 2 ways with you and your brother?
I was going to split it 2 ways with me and my brother.
Well, why is that, sir?
The only reason I was going to do that is because basically when the insurance company informed me that I had to give $1,000 to her, this is what she's entitled to from the funeral coverage. That's all we got from funeral coverage. From my understanding, the rest of the money was to the next of kin.
First, he has to pay for his own funeral. Somebody dies, they have certain responsibilities, even after death. And the first thing that he usually says in a will is, before anything else. And then I give, devise, and bequeath the rest of my estate as follows. But the first thing somebody who's responsible does is take care of their own funeral. I mean, if all you could afford was a $500 funeral, why didn't you just afford a $500 funeral? You're responsible as the next of kin. She's not. Why didn't you just spend $500 for a funeral?
Well, when we went to the funeral home, we tried to get the cheapest funeral that we can get. And that was what we was working with based on the money that we was getting from Medicaid and what we was going to pay out.
How much did you get from Medicaid?
Medicaid was paying $2,500, basically.
So how much was the whole funeral?
Funeral was close to $5,000 and some change.
And that was the cheapest funeral you could get?
It was next to the cheapest one. It was one more lower.
What was the one that was lower?
I think maybe $4,000.
Well, first thing your brother has to do is unfortunately take care of his own funeral expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,000. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. If I was excused, you may step out.
wasn't listening to what I was telling him. I told him that he had to pay me, but he didn't believe me.
I got a letter in the mail from saying I got to go to court.
I think he felt that it was between him and his brother to settle that money, but his brother had to be buried.
She stopped talking to me. I told her don't take it personal, but she stopped talking to me.
Well, I speak to him. It's just I disagree with him.
Yeah, it's okay, man. I still love her. You know, everything's still okay.
Oh, we'll speak. We'll speak, but I now finally solved the problem. I got my money.
My girls had told me that she had shoved them in the shoulder with the palm of her hand.
Fighting to protect her reputation.
They conducted an investigation into your daycare based upon complaints of her daughters.
Now it's her word against a child's.
They totally made it up to hurt us.
Why would they not make up allegations against their last 3 daycare providers?
Maybe they liked them.
You're supposed to be likable if you're a daycare provider.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge Judy. Daycare provider Barbara Arnold is suing former client Kimberly Ellis for loss of income. Barbara says her daycare was temporarily shut down after Kimberly filed false charges of child abuse.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 416 on the calendar in the matter of Arnold versus Ellis. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Ellis, you have 2 children, 2 girls.
Yes, ma'am.
One is 8, one is 9.
And they were at the time, yes, ma'am.
Miss Arnold, you run a daycare.
Yes,
and you've run a daycare service for 20 years as husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
How many children do you have in the daycare?
We normally have 12.
Okay. Your complaint is a simple one. You claim that because of Miss Ellis, your license was suspended for a period of time while they conducted an investigation into your daycare based upon her complaint. Her complaints were generated by complaints of her daughters.
Correct.
And you want to be compensated. Miss Ellis says that she behaved as a reasonable parent. When her children told her there was a problem, she pulled her children out of your facility and she reported her concerns to the state authorities. That's your defense.
I actually reported it to the licensor itself.
Who licenses your daycare?
The Department of Early Learning.
When did your children start in Miss Arnold's facility?
On September 7th of 2010.
And they're school-age children, so they would go in before school and, I gather, have breakfast at Miss Arnold's, and then Miss Arnold or her husband would take them to school.
Correct.
And then pick them up at the end of the day.
No.
You would pick them up at the end of the day. So it was just the morning hours.
Correct.
And how much were you paid for her 2 girls a week?
$10 for the one and $11 for the other a day.
So $21 a day. Was this the first daycare facility that your children had been at?
No, ma'am.
How many had they been at?
3.
Did you ever report any alleged facilities that your children were at?
No, ma'am.
Why did you report Miss Arnold's facility?
I reported because my girls had told me that she had shoved them in the shoulder with the palm of her hand.
Like this?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they tell you why?
Because they didn't eat the bagels that were provided for breakfast because they did not like them.
On what date?
That was October 4th.
And on what date did they tell you about it?
Same day. They called me from school.
On what date did you remove them from Miss Arnold's facility?
The same day. They never went back.
On what date did you report this touching to the licensing facility?
On the same day.
You questioned the children?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss Arnold, this is your problem. I'll present it to you as briefly as possible. Miss Ellis says this is the first complaint she's ever made. Because her children have never complained that any daycare provider has, in an unauthorized way, put their hands on either of the children. I am assuming, for the purposes of this case, that she received that information from her children. I'm not saying whether it's accurate or not, whether you did, in fact, push one of the children or put your hands on one of the children. I'm not saying that that happened or didn't happen. It's not relevant. The only relevant thing in this case is whether Miss Ellis acted appropriately. Do you understand?
And the other allegations, there were 25 allegations that these girls said I abused other children.
Listen to me. That's not the issue. The issue is whether when her children called and told her that you had pushed them because they didn't eat their blueberry bagel, she had a responsibility to call the state licensing authority.
Okay, well, they also made allegations against my husband, who is my daycare assistant.
And?
And it was things like that he was smoking in the car and that he was mean to him. And
who are you?
I'm a parent of a child that her children made allegations against abuse against my child.
Listen to me carefully. Not the issue. The only issue is if you have children in a daycare facility and you have experience with the daycare system and your children tell you something that gives you cause to pause, you can just remove your children from the facility and say, listen, my kids don't like it there anymore. I'm not sending them back there. That be a fair statement? Mm-hmm. Right?
May I say something, Your Honor?
I want you to put on your listening ears.
Sorry.
You can either remove your children from the facility because they're unhappy, whether they're right or whether they're wrong. They do believe that there might be an issue. Should you cause an investigation by calling licensing and saying, listen, this is what my children tell me. I'm giving it to you to look into. Now you can stand up and answer that question.
Thank you.
Just that question.
Your Honor, I was there at the time.
Just that question. You have children?
Yes.
How many?
I have 3.
How old?
30s.
If your children were little, and because you work, you brought them to a daycare, and your children came to you and said, I'm very unhappy. Mrs. Arnold pushed me, and Mr. Arnold smokes in the car and sometimes yells at me, and I'm unhappy there. What do you do, Mr. Arnold?
I would confront the daycare person that is taking care of my kids.
And the daycare person who's taking care of your children denies it, says that never happened. I never put my hands on them, and my husband doesn't smoke in the car. What do you do next? Either you say to your children you're going back there anyway, or you take your children out and you find another daycare where hopefully they'll be happier. Those are the choices. Now, after you exercise what is the only reasonable choice, which is to try to find another daycare, second thing is, what do you do with regard to the other children who may not have 8 or 9 or a year old? You say, you know what, I really have an obligation to let somebody look into this and see whether anything is not right in this facility. Unless you tell me that there was some other dispute with Miss Ellis where she was acting maliciously. Did she pay you for the time you had the children?
Yes.
Did she ever ask you for her money back?
No.
So there was no financial gain she had. Are you following me?
Yeah, I clearly understand you.
I just want to make sure that you clearly understand it.
Wait, how can it be
just a second.
Okay, sorry.
Well, if you clearly understand it, then you're not using your listening ears because you seem to have a problem with it. And there is no problem with it because hopefully you conduct an investigation and everything is okay. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay. Sometimes even after an investigation, depending upon the investigator, it's not okay. But let's say it's okay. By allowing you, Miss Arnold, to sue her for the time that your facility was closed, that creates a very chilling effect on people who feel as if they want to cause legitimate inquiry into whether or not a daycare provider is acting appropriately. Don't you understand that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's sort of an odd complaint by children. They said Mr. Arnold was smoking in the car. Odd.
And later today,
He told me that he didn't because my boyfriend did have a lot of friends in the area, so he suggested that I start living with him.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daycare provider Barbara Arnold claims former client Kimberly Ellis owes for temporarily shutting down her daycare when she filed false charges of abuse.
Okay. May I say something, ma'am?
Yes, absolutely.
Our main thing was when the CPS report came in and it had things on there that the mother claimed her daughters stretched the truth a bit, and the other allegations that CPS said are unrealistic.
And
they totally made it up.
Well, why would they make up allegations against you and not make up allegations against their last 3 daycare providers?
Because maybe they liked them, I don't know.
Well, maybe you're supposed to be likable if you're a daycare provider. What are the ages of the children that you take care of?
I take care of children up to age 12.
What are the youngest children that are in your care now?
9 months.
So you have a 9-month-old? What's after 9?
2.
2. You have a 9-month-old and you have a 2-year-old. How old is yours?
2.5.
2.5. I would say that instead of complaining that somebody is causing a second look into where my 2.5-year-old is spending their time, you might welcome it. I certainly would. And or 9-year-old didn't have a very active imagination, and make up a lot of what they said about you. But unless you could demonstrate some sort of malice on the part of Miss Ellis, she did what any responsible parent would do. Because what if, God forbid, instead of being a nice lady that you are and a reasonable guy like your husband is, which I assume you are, I really don't know. But let's assume that you were not running a great place. Let's assume that you did, in fact, shove one of the little girls on the arm when she didn't eat her blueberry bagel. And let us assume that your husband does, in fact, smoke in the car. And let us assume that there are times that you have to transport children who are 9 months old and 2 years old or 12 months old, and they can't say, I'm sitting in a car with someone who's puffing away in the car. Let us assume, Mr. Ronald, that that's true. Because I didn't even ask you whether you smoke or not, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We follow each other?
Yeah.
So that's something that I would want to know, and it's something that a state facility would want to know, because the licensing people would not permit someone to smoke in a car, would they? No. Of course not. So that's what they say, and that's sort of an odd complaint by children, that somebody is smoking in a car. I mean, they didn't say they passed a red light. They didn't say that they were speeding. They said Mr. Ronald was smoking in the car. Oh, your case is dismissed. That's all.
Your parties are excused. You may step out.
Those girls totally made up a whole lot of lies to get us closed down.
I think she got what she deserved.
They wouldn't eat anything that I served.
They weren't getting served breakfast that was appropriate for their age.
Nobody else complained but them. It's like they were spoiled and wanted Cocoa Puffs and Fruit Loops.
My kids don't eat Fruit Loops or Cocoa Puffs, so I'm not sure where she's getting that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Baldoni versus Wilson. Step forward, please.
Timothy Baldoni is suing his former live-in girlfriend, Christy Wilson, for a loan, rent, and court fees. Christy says the loan was a gift and her rent has already been paid.
Mr. Baldoni, what do you do for a living, sir?
I work in IT.
And where did you meet Miss Wilson?
I met her online, and then we subsequently met at a local bar.
This is your complaint. For a period of time, Miss Wilson moved into your apartment.
That's correct.
She had a prior debt to a prior landlord, which you claim you paid as a loan to her.
That's correct.
And then you claim that your agreement was that she would pay you for rent. And she did pay rent for the time when she actually lived with you.
She paid part of it.
Then she left to go to New York for some sort of internship. And you claim she owes you additional rent for when she wasn't living. How long have you lived in your current apartment?
Since September 2007.
And what's the rent?
The rent is $575 plus additional fees for storage and parking.
And when was the last time you had a roommate other than Miss Wilson?
I currently have a roommate.
Prior to Miss Wilson, when did you have a roommate?
I did not have a roommate prior to Miss Wilson.
So you lived there for several years without a roommate?
That's correct.
And who's living there now with you?
My current girlfriend.
So you have a girlfriend living with you?
That's correct.
Miss Wilson, to whom did you owe prior rent?
To my former rental company in Minneapolis.
Would you tell me the circumstances surrounding which Mr. Baldoni paid off that debt for you?
Well, in February of 2009, I was living with my boyfriend previous to Mr. Baldoni, and he domestically assaulted me and was arrested, put into jail, and because I got a permanent order for protection, he was immediately removed from the lease, making me solely responsible for the entire portion of the lease. So when we did meet in March, I was still involved in all the court proceedings with the domestic violence case, so he was very familiar with my situation. I had to take some time off of work because I was injured, and he told me that he didn't think it was safe for me to stay in that apartment where the assault happened because he suggested that I start living with him, which I did.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There was a previous strain in the relationship. He wanted to date other people continuously during our relationship, and I just couldn't deal with it anymore.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Timothy Baldoni says former live-in girlfriend Christy Wilson owes for a loan, rent, and court fees.
Okay, so tell me how the money came about.
Around June, Tim was talking about putting me on the lease. his lease for his apartment. And I told him that I still had a lease with my other company until July, and then I owed them money. But I filled out a rental application, and I was denied by his rental company for the money that I owed. So we talked about the situation, and he said, well, what are we going to do about this? And I said, well, I have a payment plan arranged. And he said, well, why don't I just put it on my credit card? Because this is going to affect your credit. You're not going to be able to live here. He told me, either we pay this and you get on the lease, or you're going to have to find a new place to live. So I let him put it on his credit card. Then the following week, I was added to his lease in August of 2009.
And how much was it that he paid?
It was approximately $2,500.
So you were trying to arrange for a payment plan with you only put it on his credit card. What arrangement did you make with him to pay him back?
We didn't make an arrangement.
Well, what he said was, we have to. He was treating you as a we.
Correct.
We have to take care of this, otherwise it's going to affect your credit. But a we also involves you.
Right.
Now, this was in August. You left in September.
I did.
And where did you go?
I went to New York to do an internship.
Where?
I was doing an internship with an off-Broadway musical. I was doing wigs and wardrobe. And the plan was that the internship was to go from end of September of 2009 to December of 2009. Then I was going to return to our shared residence in January. But that didn't end up happening because he broke up with me in November.
Over what?
Well, there was a previous strain in the relationship before I left, which is part of the reason why I was so compelled to leave. The distance was an issue, and also the fact that he wanted to date other people continuously during our relationship, and I just couldn't deal with it anymore.
So you didn't return?
Correct.
The $2,500 that he put on his credit card that you owed your previous landlord, that took care of your lease up until July?
Correct.
And you moved in with him in August of 2009.
I did.
Did you pay rent to him in August? How much did you pay?
I paid almost all of it.
September
21st.
So you would have owed him for the 2 months $575 if you agreed to split the rent.
Yes.
How much did you pay him?
I paid him most of August. I owed him like maybe $85.
Yes.
And then I didn't pay for September.
Did not?
Because I knew I was leaving for New York. And Tim agreed to let me pay that at a later date because I needed the money to go to New York.
All right, Mr. Baldoni, for what months do you think she owes you rent?
I think she owes me rent for part of August, September, as well as January and February.
She never lived with you in January and February.
That's correct.
He kicked me out.
Shh.
I mean,
she's not paying any rent for January and February.
When he came to visit me in New York in November, I gave him $500, which covered September and August.
Just a second. Did she give you any money?
She did, Your Honor, and that was to cover additional money that she owed me.
What additional money?
She had called me up sobbing, and she said that her wallet was stolen and that she was unable to live in New York, unable to even pay for transportation.
He did that as a boyfriend.
Just a second. So how much did you send her?
A total of $360. She also owed me $125 for an iPhone and some additional money from August.
No. Mr. Baldoni, I don't have time for your petty nonsense.
Want justice? Go to JudgeJudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, she owes you the $2,500 you paid for her landlord.
Also, Your Honor, the amount that I expected each month was $380. That included the half of the fees for the storage lockers and parking, as well as half of the utilities.
I don't care what you expected. What I'm telling you is, Mr. Baldoni, she's going to pay you back. As far as this, whether she shorted you $65 or $40 or you bought her a $125 iPhone, I don't care. Courts don't care about your nonsense. When you marry somebody, then courts have to say, well, these are your assets, these are your liabilities. You get half, goodbye. When you play house,
right,
don't expect courts to get involved in minutiae.
But
do you understand?
I do
give me
understand. Electricity is fundamental
listen to me. You lived there 2 years without a roommate.
Correct.
You paid the electricity.
Correct.
Keep paying it.
I will.
Good. You paid the water, you paid the phone, you paid the cable, all by yourself for 2 years, right?
Correct.
Great. She owes you $2,500.
No.
That's what she owes you. Judgment for the plaintiff.
She already agreed, Your Honor, to pay me back for January and February.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm really happy it's over. I think she was really fair.